What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 19 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here as always with my co-host Legendy Vash, and we are here with returning guest, the creator and head writer of ShadeOfRed, LSF himself. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode.
It's a pleasure to be here because, I'm glad, people like James knows that I'm going to be here. And like LSF, they will text me in the morning like, hey, are you going to be there? I'm like, bro, it's my show. I think I have to be there unless I text it or tweet it as the show that I'm not going to be here today. But as far as I know, I am going to be there. Right, LSF?
Well, to be fair, bro, you wasn't here last time, so I didn't know what to expect. But
well, technically, I was half there last time. I was half there.
He was half there, but no, honestly, thank you guys for adopting me again. I was
always.
I was literally saying the other day I want to be on a podcast. I've missed the podcasting business, and obviously my boys Anime lately and C4SVillains had to adopt me one more time. Excuse the receding hairline, Reese. Vash pointed it out, but yeah, it is what it is.
But hey, at least you tweeted out they want to be on podcast 2 days ago when you're going to be on 2 days later on a podcast. I questioned that so much. I'm like, but didn't we have you as a guest for this week? How you asking to be on a podcast?
No,
like,
I didn't forget this. It's obviously because I knew that my movie Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was going to be dragged through the dirt. I was more wanted to talk about anime, but here I am ready to defend my favorite film. So let's go.
Guardians 2 is your favorite MCU movie?
I mean, it's top 3 and
okay.
It ain't free. It ain't free. It's top 3 and it ain't free.
All right.
Interesting.
I'll die on this sword. I probably am going to die on this sword. I'm probably going to get slandered, but you know what? It is what it is, and we move.
Not at all, man.
Trust me. I can't wait. I can't wait to have this conversation or debate with James because I know he was ready for this conversation. It sucks that Ray's not here with me to help me to defend this argument about it, because it'd be nice to have another person, because this would be an interesting debate with all three.
It's one of those situations that no matter how bad my take is, Vash has a worse take with his views on Civil War. So no matter what I say, Vash has got something worse to say, so I feel a bit more comfortable.
I don't know about that. I think my takes have a point, reasoning.
James, we'll see. This is why I wanted the three of us together for this one, because we have varying views on a lot of these movies in the first part of the MCU Phase 3. So, as I just mentioned, we are doing part 1 of Phase 3 of the MCU. We're going to be talking Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. Love Thor Ragnarok, one of my favorite MCU movies ever. Watched that and Homecoming today. Like, this was pretty much like my favorite rewatch of both of those movies, so I can't wait for us to get there. But real quick, LS, I want to know, like, what was your favorite Phase 2 movie?
Okay, all right, hold on. I need to make sure I know the phase as well.
Yeah, so Phase 2 was Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, that's it. You saw right there. Winter Soldier. Literally, I feel like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I feel like that changed that whole film. I must have said it last time. It changed my perspective on the MCU completely. I was a massive DC fan beforehand. Man of Steel was actually one of my favorite films that I'd seen. Maybe that's because I'm biased for Dragon Ball Z. And it was the closest thing I got to a Dragon Ball Z live action. So when my friend Jordan, who was on last time, when he was telling me about Civil War, I was like, bro, why the hell do I care about Captain America, bro? I really don't. But then I saw Civil War and I was just like, that is a movie. Like, that had everything I wanted. It had a good blend of the comedy. It felt like a spy film. It's one of those films that you can watch without even being an MCU fan, and I respect that highly. So it's definitely Civil War.
Yeah,
Not Civil War, Winter Soldier. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, Winter Soldier is it's pretty much my favorite MCU movie, period, man. Like, I love that movie and everything that it brought to the table. But yeah, I kind of wanted to put you on the spot there and find out what was your favorite of Phase 2.
Nah,
I'm glad. I'm glad you said this answer, because if you said Thor: The Dark World, I would have questioned you, and then I'll be like, "All right, James, we gotta kick him out. We gotta get different guests right now, real quick."
Yeah, he wouldn't be welcome back.
Literally,
yeah, definitely, for sure.
Why does London all the time get so shattered? We was like, we had, it's like a 4 film, always based in London, and it's one of the worst. I mean, that is just poetic justice.
I don't know, man. It's just it's questionable. That's why I was like, hey, it's a film in London. I'm like, maybe for him it could be Thor: The Dark World, his favorite Phase 2. But then you said The Winter Soldier. I'm like, okay, good, thank God. I'm like, oh, okay, he said it good for me, enjoys, and it's not Thor: The Dark World.
People complain about the MCU having a grey tone. It's like, oh, how do we brighten up this grey tone? Oh, we'll set it in London, the greyest place on earth. So it was just ridiculous, man. I don't know what they were thinking with that.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. They were thinking about the international numbers. It's like, it's like, well, the first Thor didn't make as much money as we wanted, so let's focus more on the international box office, and we'll just set it in London.
Oh, the first film didn't make enough numbers because we set it in New Chicago. Like, everyone's going to New Chicago. Or where does everyone else go? London. Oh, no one's there, but our population is like not even that giant compared to the US. I don't know what they were thinking.
But yeah, I kind of want to dive straight into it. I know this is going to be a pretty long episode, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. So let's dive straight into it. The first film in the MCU Phase 3, we are going to be talking about Captain America: Civil War. Now, Vash, I know you have things to say, and depending on the things you say, you might be replaced as my co-host. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on Civil War. So what do you got?
All right, guys. So this may be my last show here as a co-host with, GB. If not, I'll probably be a future guest on the show. Things happen, life happens. But you know what? Loki's next week. That's an awesome thing. I'm excited for Loki. Wednesday review, we're doing everything. So that's pretty awesome. On a serious note, though, Civil War, fun film. Enjoyable on rewatch? Hell nah. To me, it's one of the weakest films. To me, in story structure perspective, I feel like, honestly, when it comes to action, a great scene. The James and me was speaking about it behind the scenes, where the airport scene, awesome. The scene with T'Challa as Black Panther versus Bucky on the rooftop, awesome as well. The introduction, amazing. When Tony screams out Honoroo, or I forgot what was it exactly said for Honoroos for Spider-Man, awesome scene. Just to see one of my favorite characters, Peter Parker, and to see a new iteration of of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, into the MCU. It's amazing, those type of scenes. And they have another 20 or 30 minutes later, longer film, which it was, should have been, but whatever, for the fight of Tony versus 2-on-1 with Captain America and Bucky, the Winter Soldier. Great action scene, beautiful, and great cinematography as well. The whole choreography was beautiful. Tony was getting the work done on him, so he definitely was, getting the rap medal on him. So that's pretty dope. By the way, Team Iron Man. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm gonna just say Team Iron Man here as well.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Wait, hold up. Let me finish my sentence. Still in the midway of sentence. Team Iron Man, but I respect Steve ideology. I'm just Team Iron Man because I like him as the actor, but also I just grew up with Iron Man comics and everything. So Team Iron Man because grew up wise, but story perspective from the MCU film, Captain was right, but still Team Iron Man. Comic story, can't wait for me and James to actually review the Civil War comic, because me and him have plans for those in the future. Can't we talk about that and actually reread that in the future? But to me, Captain America Civil War is a film that felt more like an Avengers film, but was not an Avengers film, and I wish it was more as Avengers film. because after Age of Ultron, and then this happened, I felt like this could have been another Avengers film right after, because this felt like a Age of Ultron 2.5. Like this was a film that succeeded in the action and beautiful box office money it made. And I know James is gonna probably debunk or tell a different perspective of the positive sides. And here, me, I'm talking, pros a bit, but more like I felt lackluster in the story, because with the Sokovia Accords, it could have been a lot more. And with what the storytelling with the MCU in the grander scale, it worked better with WandaVision and other characters later on. But with the whole story overall of the MCU, it fell flat later on, because with Thanos and everything else, it felt like Sokovia Course really fell flat right after. So I can add more later, but I do want to hear the rest of the my co-host and the guest, LSF. So James, what do you want to go next and see what you think about it?
Yes, I have a direct rebuttal actually. So I feel like I definitely hear you on like the Age of Ultron 2.5, and I think it's supposed to be that way, and I like that it's that way because the Sokovia Accords was put into place because of what happened in
Like right
Sokovia.
after.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the world literally almost ended because the Avengers are technically unchecked. So I feel like the stakes were enormous because the Avengers were literally split in two by the government and by Zemo. The Avengers were literally fractured in this film. A team that was put together because of what happened with Loki, everything that was going to happen with Project Insight, everything that happened with Ultron. They came together and they stayed together through all of these things. And then this movie tore them apart. I can't tell you how much it breaks me every time I see Cap and Iron Man fight each other in the end of that movie. It hits me every time. Like you already said, Vash, the T'Challa versus Bucky fight, that's such a great fight. I love that they introduced the raft, bro. The raft is something
That
I
was
never
beautiful.
thought we would ever see live action ever. And we got it in this movie. The raft is a prison that we know the greatest Marvel villains are imprisoned in. So that was huge for me to see. That great like splash page moment between Cap and Iron Man at the end. That's pretty much like one of the covers of the Civil War comic. Absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
Chadwick Boseman is amazing as Black Panther. Everyone does an incredible job.
Rest in
Like
peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. Vision does an incredible job. The airport sequence, like you talked about before, it's like it's almost 20 minutes, and it's just some of the best shit that I've ever seen. We got to see Giant Man. We got to see Clint versus Black Panther. Like, just think about these things in your head. Like, as a comic book fan, I never thought I would get to say the words Hawkeye versus Black Panther, right? Or like War Machine versus Giant Man. These are all moments in these fights and in this movie that I never thought I would ever see. So for me, the spectacle of this whole thing is amazing.
So for me to add to that as well, like we're both want to work in the production entertainment industry as well, right? So as a comic book fan, you hit it on the nose. Black Panther, like in a fight sequence, Captain America talking to Peter saying, "Oh, where you from? I'm from Queens. I'm away from Brooklyn," and everything. Those moments as a comic book fan, fucking love it. I'm hyped in the movie theater. Just thinking about it, just talking about it gets me hyped. But as a storyteller, as a person who wants to work in production and has been, and the one who has a passion to do my own film and work in animation, I see it as the script. I read the script before of Civil War, and I feel like this could have been a two-part film. And I feel like they could have cut some stuff out and made it more cleaner, condensed. That's me. Like when you talk about what you said, it gets me hyped to just put it in my head or just go watch the film just for those scenes. But I feel like this film could have been a two-part film. And yes, I agree with what you said. This worked well right after Age of Ultron, because this was right after Sokovia with what happened. And also in Falcon the Winter Soldier, even Zemo brought up, said, "Did you guys ever go to the graves for the Sokovia, for the people that lost?" Like everything syncs up. But I feel like in story wise, I feel like it could have been much cleaner. But that's just the way I see it in a story aspect. As a comic book fan, I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I feel like it's so clean and concise. And like we were talking about off air, I feel like if you were to split this into two films, it would just be, in my opinion, it would just be long for no reason. Because we already know why the Sokovia Accords is happening, and then Zemo is also the other driving factor of this movie. And it's also centered around like it's centered between Zemo and Bucky. It's all centered around these people. Zemo is trying to get revenge, and he's pushing everyone to where they end up by the end of the film. So for me, I feel like if you try to split that up, it's like, what is Zemo even doing in the first film? Right? Like what would the Avengers be doing in the first film? Right? Would it be another political thriller? You already did that in Winter Soldier. So what would the first part of Civil War even be? And then once you get to the second part, is it just the fights? So it's like, to me personally, as a two-parter, it wouldn't work. And the way it sits at like 220, I think it's perfect. But I've talked enough about this. LS, like, what are your thoughts on Civil War?
Same.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna.
Please tell me you hate it.
No. I'm not gonna dismiss anything you said though, and I feel like what the things that you said are valid, and yeah, they are. No, the thing that Vash said are valid. They are valid.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna dismiss them. I feel like you need to look at the film in context. I feel like Marvel done well with what they had. The film came out at a time where it was rivaling Batman versus Superman. And I remember at the time thinking, well, Batman versus Superman has all the source material that they can use. But it just shows that you can have the right source material and still make a underwhelming film, because that's how a lot of people felt about Batman versus Superman. I feel like with what they had, they made it a amazing film, bro. Honestly, I like I said, I see where you're coming from, but the hype moments and what they had is what they done with it was almost incredible, bro. And it's a thing where yes, the story does have its plot holes, but like I said, you need to look at the film in context. Like they had none of the major things from the Civil War comic, like the whole thing with the Robot Thor, the whole thing with Reed Richards,
Punisher, Spider-Man.
Literally, they couldn't use any of that. So when you look at the film in context, well, what they had is that they made it amazing, bro. Like I honestly, I feel like when I watched it, I was thrilled from the start to the end, and that's what I wanted from the film. Like what we wanted is what James said. We wanted a big fight between the superheroes, and yes, maybe it shouldn't be called Civil War. If they called it Civil Brawl, then I'd understand it more. So it wasn't as much as a war as it was a brawl. But like I said, with the source. No, go on.
I think you hit on the nose. Because I feel like that's what I'm bothered by. Like, they use a title from the comic. Yes, like I'm not those people that gets mad or like I'll use a story concept, from the comic, but then at the same adapt it. I'm not one of those people that I don't give two fucks. But at the end of the day, like saying Civil War, like I feel like it could have used a better title, because I understood what the conflict was. They were trying to divide Captain America and Iron Man so they could come back for the Thanos Endgame and the whole shabam. So that makes sense. But I feel like the Civil War, where LSF hit on the nose, where like there wasn't really a war. There was just a little scrimmage battle that happened in the airport, and then our boy Rhodey, lost a leg, or sorry, not lost a leg. He got
paralyzed.
Yeah.
Paralyzed. Thank you. I just lost the word for it. And also, like Wanda and Vision could have literally knocked the whole squad over there at any time they want. They were literally holding back, because those people are the most broken people there. When people there just have a little electronic suit with a bow and arrow, and then like the guy who's a superhuman, Steve, and then we have a Black Panther. So it's like this felt like a scrimmage, and I feel like maybe that's also one of the reasons how I felt like that.
Yeah, and to follow on what you said is like there's a reason why Civil War was called Civil War in the comics. This was a grand scale thing, and I feel like Civil War could have maybe taken some things from Batman versus Superman, maybe by taking the public outrage that they had in Batman versus Superman over Superman being this super being. If we saw the public's outrage towards the superheroes, I mean, they kind of hinted at it with Iron Man's scene in the school when he was about to go into the elevator. They hinted at it, but I feel like we needed to see more public outrage that forced the government to do this. It was just like the government was doing this because we want to, but like if we saw more public outrage, people looking at heroes people looking at heroes different and disagreeing with them, then it really would have added to the film. So yeah, there were some things that they could have done, but like I said, within context, I feel like they've done a great job. Like they used the material that they had. They went big for it. I mean, Marvel. I won't sit here and say that Marvel didn't try. They bought the rights to Spider-Man literally just for that film. So Marvel tried with the best that they had, and I can respect them for that. But like I said, maybe in time, with what we've seen now, with how well Infinity was done, and maybe now that Marvel has the rights to the other superheroes, we'll get stuff on a bigger scale. We might look back at Civil War and say, yeah, it was good for its time, but we've seen better now. So yeah, like I said, but if you look at it in context, it's an amazing film.
Yeah, I love both of your perspectives on this because, especially what you said, LS, like just the simple fact that we didn't really see the public outrage, especially with what happened with Hulk in Age of Ultron. He scared a lot of people, right? Like
Exactly.
when Wanda was messing with his mind. So if we got to see like representatives of those people or just some of the public talking about that and other instances, that would have been really dope to really
Or
see. It
even
would have it would have driven it home.
Yeah, or even at the scene where Wanda is kept captive at the Avengers
The Wrath.
base. Yeah, like even if we had people like trying to rush the Avengers base by calling Wanda a terrorist, etc., for the things that she done to Hulk and for the situation in Lagos, then that would have added to it more. But it was like, bro, she left outside. Who was really bothering her? The public, do the public even know her like that? Like it's like that stuff kind of got convoluted within the whole script. I could tell.
You're on mute.
Am I? Am I on mute still?
Vash.
Thank you,
Oh,
because I was on the phone. That's something that I wish we had with Wanda and other characters, because when you by Ross that he said that, oh, okay, we need to have security records and everything, and we saw the death of the King T'Chaka and everything, we saw those things happen, but we hear how people felt, but we don't see the public eye. Yes, it improved in storytelling now with WandaVision, Captain Falcon, the Winter Soldier. We see the much better improved writing, where they know it shows both sides of the hero, the storytelling, but also the people's eyes and how they feel. Because we have reviewed those series before throughout this past 19 episodes of Villains, so we know how it is. And we're in 2021, where this movie was back in 2016, where they were still having a understanding of the MCU, of this whole type of cinematic universe, and how can they bring this type of direction to where Thanos is. So again, I'm not saying this movie is bad at all, because it is enjoyable. Box office, it has such a great Rotten Tomato. I think it was like an 82 or 85 last time I saw this past week. So it has such a great audience record and people's perspective of the film. And what else I've said, like it has those little small plot holes for it, and that's what bothers me for it. But
yeah,
then at the end of the day, this was a 2016 films, and for them to understand where they were heading, at the end of the day, I could still rewatch and still be detained for it. I'll still be bothered from a couple of scenes or a couple of storylines that could have been much better or much better integrated. But at the end of the day, for what it is, this film did accomplish a big thing to bring Spider-Man to MCU, bring Black Panther, a well-beloved Black character that a lot of people love, that in different countries they supported this film for so much in so much different ways. And yes, for LSF that he brought, like Civil War is not the same from what is in the comics, but then I don't give two shits. I just wanted a good story because he was filmed, but in how I saw in my eyes, it wasn't. But James saw it in a perfect, much smoother, right, James?
Yeah,
yeah. I was sorry. Go on. Go on.
I was just gonna say real quick, like I think this movie is incredible. I do want to talk to you guys real quick about the plot holes that you guys have found in the film, but there is one negative that I do have. I'll get into that here in a second. But with the whole title of it being Civil War, I'm okay with it because one, it's marketing. Two, at its core, it technically is the Civil War storyline. It just doesn't go as deep, and the stakes aren't as high. Right? That's how I see it, at any rate. But in terms of a negative, it's what happens at the end of the film, right? It's Tony's turn to try to kill Bucky. It's like, I get it. He killed your mom, he killed your dad, but you know definitively that he was brainwashed. I get in the moment he was just really angry and frustrated, but I just feel like as that fight went on, it's like, dude, he literally had no control. He was literally he literally had his mind erased and he was reprogrammed to be a Hydra assassin. Tony even makes a joke calling him the Manchurian Candidate, acknowledging exactly what it is. So it's just a bit frustrating to see Tony go after him that hard, to literally try to kill him, knowing that information. Again, I know he killed your mom and your dad, but you're logical, Tony. You are a logical person. Yes, again, it's family, but at the same time, you know for a fact that he had zero control. He knew what was happening, but he could not control his own body. And I just feel like it could have been handled a little bit differently. There still could have been stakes, but to take the fight to that level, I feel like it was just there so that we can get the fight between Cap and Tony. LS, what do you think?
Well, I was just gonna say a point I forgot to say lastly, following on what you guys said about Age of Ultron, is I do feel that Civil War really does need to be looked at in context, not only for the material that they had, but for what it done for the industry as well. After Age of Ultron, I believe the industry was suffering from superhero fatigue. No one knew where it was going to go next because people didn't like Age of Ultron, and it seemed like Age of Ultron was the peak of where they can go. And I believe Civil War brought back the hype for it. So I respect it in that context as well. Because when Civil War came out, you saw that the MCU was expanding the way we wanted it to expand. But yeah, going with plot holes again, it was just basically following about what I said. I feel like BVS really did a good job at showing what would happen if the public idolized a person to the point where they were a god. The BVS had that great scene where people were touching Superman like he was the second coming of Jesus, and how that got to his head. It messed with his mental, because it was too much of a pressure on him, which is what Superman's father wanted to avoid. And I feel like it would have been good to implement that into Civil War. Maybe not copy completely, but have people who idolize these superheroes who can never do wrong, but then show that when they do wrong, that the public can quickly change on them, and how that would affect. I've never seen Captain America in front of a group of public people wanting to be against him. It's always been a government or other superheroes that have primarily been against him. But what would he say to the public? How would he deal with the public? Does he have a god complex? Does Steve Rogers have flaws in his own character where maybe that has got to his head? And I feel like that would have been pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Any other final thoughts on Civil War before we move on to Doctor Strange?
For me, what I would say for the last final thoughts of Civil War, like the action scenes, the Russo brothers knew what they were doing. And this was their second MCU film. Like they have done such a good success in their past work, and if I could see one mishap out of the 4 films they have done of Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, and then Infinity War, out of those 4, I think Civil War the weakest. That's not a bad thing because those 4 are other good. I mean, those 3 are the great ones. So like, and Civil War is like, for saying a 10 out of 10 to me is like a good solid 7.5 or 8, and an 8 or 7.5 is not bad. It's still a good, enjoyable film. So for those that will say anything to me on Twitter or whatever, like, I had a good time overall. Story perspective, story structure, the writing, no matter what I could say, for some people could still find it enjoyable. If people want to nitpick about it, go ahead. But at the end of the day, I had a good time, and that's the most important aspect. When you're entertained by a film, it does succeed in that way. And no matter what you are, you're entertaining.
And I feel like I understand your point, Vash. It's like you said, you've seen better. You've seen the Russo brothers do better in Infinity War and Endgame. So I suppose that can maybe add to your point on Civil War. Like you said, you've seen better. So yeah, you know that they can do better, and I suppose you wanted more. And maybe Civil War just made you feeling like there was a void. And that's understandable. Doesn't mean you hate the film, but it's understandable. It's your personal experience.
That's fair.
100%.
Yeah, LS, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is, like I said, I love what it done for the industry. I feel like it cured the superhero fatigue. Like I said, the MCU was very in a difficult position after Age of Ultron. Like I said, they could have gone 2 ways. Like they took a big risk by getting rid of like Joss Whedon, etc., and taking the Russo brothers. That risk really did pay off. It added something fresh. And like I said, from a writer's perspective, I can respect that completely. So yeah, I really do like it. We're done for the industry, and like I said, you have to look at it within context.
Yeah. You guys know, I love this film. It made $1.1 billion at the box office. I've seen it more than 24 times. Like, I love this movie. It's a mini Avengers movie, and it's also a great Captain America story. And I love getting to see Cap, Bucky, and Falcon all interacting with each other, and how like each of their friendships are different with Steve, and I love watching them play off of each other. Zemo is easily, and I mean, this isn't a great accomplishment, but he's easily top 5 greatest MCU villains that they've ever had, right? Daniel Bruhl is an incredible actor, so getting to see him in this film and watching a normal person break the Avengers, that was pretty cool to see, if I'm being perfectly honest. So yeah, and again, the airport sequence, getting to see the raft, of course, Tony's new suits and everything, it was all great. I absolutely love this film. I already mentioned the one thing that bugs me just a little bit, but this is a film that I will rewatch constantly, and it's why I think Captain America has the most solid and the best trilogy in the MCU. So let's go ahead.
I was going to say one last thing. I can't wait to see how my fiance reacts to the film, because we plan to watch it this week. So I can't wait to see how she feels about it, if she's on my side or if she actually enjoys it more than what it is. So I can't wait to see that.
Has she watched the other films?
Oh yeah, she has watched all phase 1, phase 2. We just started phase 3. We just haven't had the time, since we're currently looking for apartments, but that's a whole different conversation. But I can't wait for us to watch Civil War and see how she feels about that.
Yeah, no, I think she's gonna enjoy it, bro. Honestly, yeah, because I was with my friend and his girlfriend. I've never watched the MCU before, and I showed them, and then I was like, bro, just wait till we get to the Civil War, and they really did enjoy it. So I feel like she will. Like I said, from a fan's perspective, I feel like you're.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, I feel like you're very critical because you're a writer and a producer yourself, so you can see these flaws. But from a fan perspective, I feel like she will really enjoy it.
Good point. She does not really knows those little things, so she just probably will enjoy a lot more than me. She'll just probably be just, oh my god, that's so cool, Giant Man, Ant-Man, because she enjoy Ant-Man. So you make a good point on that.
And both perspectives are perfectly okay. By the way, just to say, both perspectives are perfectly okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and something the MCU does really well most of the time is blending the humor with the seriousness, right? Like before we get the airport sequence, is one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie, is when Ant-Man meets Cap for the first time. He's like, wow, you're Captain America. He's so big. Thanks for thanking of me. he's just fumbling over his words. Like, it's amazing. And then I believe it's even like right before that, where Cap kisses Sharon and he feels so proud of himself, and Sam and Bucky are just watching him from the car, just like, my nigga.
Yeah, my boy.
Yeah, man.
One of my favorite ones is when Hawkeye fights Black Panther, and just talking like, hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm Hawkeye. And Black Panther, I don't care.
Yeah,
he just goes for like move out the way. I'm trying to get somebody else. I just love that.
That's when we established that we was getting no quips from Black Panther, boy.
Oh,
He's in business, no quips. He's just out here, bro. And I love that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, he has a character like that never cared about quips. Like, he's the type of person who's just straight up and does what it is to the task. He just comes here and does the job, and that's it.
Yeah, and I love the payoff of that in Endgame too. Like, when they all come back, he's like, Clint, throw it to me. I was like, oh shit, yes.
I can't wait to rewatch that movie, because I haven't rewatched them since 2019 or 2018 since they've been out. So
you are going to shit yourself. Rewatch. Endgame is so much fun, bro.
But do you know what it is? Yeah, do you know what it is? I was always on the impression. I know we're jumping ahead based on what we're talking. Yeah. But I always thought Infinity War was better than Endgame. But when I rewatched Endgame, I was like, this film slaps, bro. What the hell?
I can't wait.
Bro, this film flipping slaps, bro. Like, on a second rewatch, that film is amazing. Way better than Infinity War. And Infinity War was great. I love Infinity War. Infinity War was the film I've seen the most. But yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, man.
Yeah, dude, like it blends three of my favorite genres ever: superhero movies, heist movies, time travel. It's one of my favorite things ever, bro.
Literally, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about another character that also does some time traveling, some multiverse changing. Doctor Strange came out in 2016, stars Benedict Cumberbatch, who I thought was amazing casting for this. I remember when Joaquin Phoenix was up for the role, and I thought Joaquin Phoenix would have done an amazing job, but he's not the type of actor that would ever really sign on for multiple like appearances in a franchise, right?
Yeah.
So I was completely fine with Benedict Cumberbatch getting the role, and he's amazing. He does such a great job playing pretty much a different version of Tony Stark. He's the billionaire playboy philanthropist douchebag, right? And I thought this film was incredible the first time that I saw it. It's one of the only films that I like in 3D. I thought it looked incredible in 3D. The more and more that I watch this film, I love it more and more the more that I see it. Vash, I want to toss it to you first because I knew you just saw it again today. But what are your thoughts on Doctor Strange?
Yo, no lie, I didn't think how much I'm gonna enjoy watching this film because Doctor Strange. Not saying that he was not my least favorite character from the comics, but he, if people don't know, Doctor Strange and Tony Stark looks so much fucking alike in the comics. But when they're together in the comics, it's freaking amazing. It's hilarious. And when I saw this film first time years ago in 2016, I was like, yo, I don't know how this film I'm gonna like. When I came out, I like it. I didn't think it was anything crazy or cool, but I love the CG, the VFX, the special effects was, yo, like watching the film still holds up. I'm like, God damn. Like, imagine the amount of hours they put for this fucking shit. Like, every building, the point and everything. Like, I'm gonna just say, like, imagine watching this film high. I haven't watched the film high yet, but imagine just watching this film high. Yo, you'll be like, imagine that building, just living there in that building in the corner, and you just see everything looking like that.
Dude, it was my goal. It was my goal to watch it the first time, stoned out of my mind. So I saw it in 3D, stoned out of my mind.
3D?
Bro. Oh yeah.
How was your experience?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Especially when she pushes him through into his astral form and sends him through all of the different dimensions. Oh shit. That was awesome.
Like, while I was watching the film, I was texting James through the DM. I was telling like, yo, this scene, yo, I love this shit. Like, when I show him the scene that James brought up when our boy Stephen Strange first met the Ancient One, right? And when I sent him a picture, and then he said, teach me. Literally, like 10 seconds later, he said, teach me. I'm like, yo, seeing that scene was amazing. Like, he literally went through the most fuck up acid type of trip of just going through just astral plane, like, yo, going up through the mirror dimension and everything. And then he just came back like, yo, girl, you gotta teach me what the fuck I just went through. So just experiencing this film again and seeing Stephen Strange, for people that don't know, he's one of the most broken characters in the comics, but seeing how, you know, his origin story and everything, and how much this dude, like Stephen Strange, ego in the comics is a lot more ego than Tony Stark. And seeing it in the movie, being adapted like this, it's like, all right, cool. They did it right. They did the ego shit perfectly, because the each one, even on her deathbed, even say that your ego is what also holds you back, but also is what motivates you, because you hate to see failure. And I love that scene, because most people that have success, the reason they're so successful is because they don't want to fail. They just continue rising and uprising. And that's what she told him. And he said that he agreed with that himself, because I saw that bit of myself, that I hate seeing failure because I just want to continue getting better. And I love that shit when the Ancient One told him. And seeing the friendship of Mortal with Stephen Strange, like me, I know their comics as much, like I said in the beginning, not a big fan of the character or anything crazy like his, but seeing how they were friends and everything at the beginning of the film, like, if I remember correctly, he leaves them in the end. And then when I got to the end of the film, like, oh yeah, he said, fuck this magic shit. And then at the end, when he went to take out the Longborn or Langborn, I just watched the film. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, Langborn, something like that. And when he went to take out the magic, and he literally just collapsed, no lie, felt bad from like walking for the next 2 years, and then literally to losing magic, just literally go to the floor like this. I'm like, damn, I felt bad for you, my guy. But when he said, I realized what's wrong with this world, there's too many sorcerers. And then cut of the film, I was like, fade black. I was like, damn, he got a point. And I can't wait to see that. And Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Curious to see how this is gonna be involving with Mortal and with Wanda and everything, because Mortal is the arch nemesis of Doctor Strange. So I can't wait to see how that happens. But one of my favorite scenes and the most annoying scenes for most people is the scene, Dormammu, I came here to bargain. And literally holding that on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. And Dormammu, as one of the most type of celestial beings, be like, yo, my dude, get rid of this shit. I'm done. I'm done. Just a spell. It's done. I had a great time. And I can't wait to hear what the others think, because this was a great rewatch. I actually had a blast. This was probably my most favorite rewatch of Phase 3 Part 1 that we're doing. I had a great time.
Yeah, man. Doctor Strange is a lot of fun. LS?
You know what? Doctor Strange was the point where Marvel was just flexing. Like I said, they brought back the hype for superhero films, and they were like, "What? Our films lack a bit of color. They're a bit grey. How's these special effects?" And they just went in on it, bro. Like seriously, and they really showed if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It was a perfect origin story that didn't need anything crazy, and they've done different origin stories. For example, like Spider-Man, he was already an established hero, but his origin was about becoming better than just the suit. And with Doctor Strange, they also did an amazing origin story with the parallels of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange and Iron Man, showing that too much knowledge and too much power can be your downfall. Like Doctor Strange was too eager to know more about the mystic arts. That was dangerous for him. Like he was getting into things that he shouldn't have been getting into. Same with Tony Stark. He had so much money and power that he was investing in terrorists without even knowing. So I feel like they've done great with that parallel. And like I said, the film is it's just great to watch, bro. Like the special effects, and I love how they got Benedict Cumberbatch, this English actor. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his films. Have you guys ever watched Four Lions?
I have.
I've seen scenes of his Sherlock, but I haven't seen it fully, but I really do want to see it.
Yeah, no, Four Lions is a great British comedy, bro. It's kind of dark, but you should watch it. And seeing him come from that to being this mystical arts warrior is honestly amazing. From a British standpoint, I can't be happier to see it. Like, yes, he was playing an American, but honestly, like, yeah, I just love the film. I just really think it was a great flex from Marvel to show that, yeah, we can do it. We can still do it. We can still make great origin stories, and we're just improving as a company. And yeah, I love to see growth, and I feel like Doctor Strange is literally that standpoint of growth. So yeah, I love it to bits.
Yeah, we'll get into this in Ragnarok, but I love the little like Sherlock Holmes Easter eggs, because the Sanctum Sanctorum is 177B Bleecker Street, which is fucking hilarious. But I absolutely love Doctor Strange. Like I said before, this is a film that I love the more and more that I see it.
Same.
Mordo, his motivations into becoming the antagonist, I was gonna say villain, but antagonist, it's way better in this film compared to some of the comics and some of like the animated series and movies and stuff like that. Because he's just an evil guy that just wants power, and Dormammu can give him that power. But that's not the case in this film. He decided that he was going to dedicate his entire life to destroying evil and protecting the way of life for people. He turned his entire life around based on this belief. And then to find out that the Ancient One was using this dark magic, everything that he was taught, to keep hidden away and to destroy. The Ancient One is just using to keep herself immortal. Yes, it wasn't just to keep herself young. She was keeping herself young to protect the realms, right? To protect
until she met Doctor Strange. Basically, she was going to pass on the mantle eventually, but she needed to wait for the right moment.
Exactly, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Go ahead.
No, following on what you said, I feel like they've done something different in this time, is that they set the seeds for future stories. Like normally at the end of an art, like so that at the end of most origin stories, or the first one, it's just like they defeat this bad guy. That's the end. Like the end of Iron Man 1, he defeats the bad guy. That's the end. At the end of most films, it's literally just the end of that. but I feel like they set seeds for future films to come in. Like they left it on a to be continued, and that's very rare in a Marvel film. As in, they have their antagonist there throughout the whole film, and then to be continued. I feel like that was really good as well.
You
Sorry,
said
Jen, I
it.
didn't mean to call you.
You said it perfectly, Elsa, because the chat even said that well, the villain was the weakest, and I feel like honestly, this movie, the villain was actually not needed because I feel like Dormammu was the main antagonist of trying to bring death, the world, the darkness. All right, cool. That's in almost every type of story. But this was more for Stephen Strange to overcome his belief and overcome to understand that he has a greater purpose. I feel like this was the point of the film because this was more of an origin story. Yes, you said it perfectly yourself because this was the setup for Mortal down the road for Stephen Strange, but also the guy Celestial, or the guy that was the first student and then turned back. Cannot pronounce his name for the life of me, but the white dude that has long hair, that has black type of eyeshadow.
Yeah, that's Mads Mikkelsen. I believe his name was Caecilius.
Yes, Caecilius. Thank you. I just can't really pronounce it unless somebody else say it. Then I'm good. Caecilius. He was, to me, he served the purpose as the villain for the film to move the characters that we were following to get to where we are at the end of the film. Like, there's reasons for some characters that are not needed all the time for story purposes, and that's why I feel like people misinterpret when there's a villain or antagonist all the time, and like it's not needed. Sometimes we just need to follow the main story of the character to see where they get to at the end of the film. And to me, this film worked perfectly for what it was.
Yeah, another shining light of this film for me is just, and it's more of a testament to the greater MCU as a whole, but just what they've been able to do. They started off really grounded with Iron Man. They started to get a little bit crazy with Incredible Hulk, and they went cosmic with Thor. They expanded the universe
Guardians
itself with Guardians even more. And then they grounded it again with Ant-Man and the Wasp, but also expanded it even more by giving us the quantum realm and how that exists. And then we finally get Doctor Strange. That's going to be the portal to the multiverse for MCU fans. So they've been able to build out the MCU in this incredible way, and Doctor Strange fits in perfectly right here. Right, exactly where it is, completely separated from all of the other Avengers, and just watching this guy go from this complete asshole to being someone so incredibly selfless, right? Like Vash brought up, you talked about one of your favorite scenes being Dormammu, I came to bargain. In that moment, Stephen Strange, a selfish person, was ready to spend the rest of eternity in a loop just to protect all of reality.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a great character arc, and it felt earned as well, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of films where a character has a huge character shift and it actually feels earned. And that was one of my favorite things in this movie.
To add to that as well, I feel like it was beautiful for the chemistry, but relationship more important, because it was better for example, with Thor and Jane Foster. It felt like there was no chemistry, or it felt like it was forced. But with this character, Stephen Strange, and with Christine, his ex-girlfriend, or whatever type of relationship they had during that time, but you knew that they had chemistry by the way they spoke to each other, by the way Stephen Strange only gave her attention and his sarcastic vibe with this character. And when he came to the hospital after he got stabbed when he was in New York, in that sanctum, and to speak to her, I felt like this was a beautiful relationship where it didn't need to be forced and everything. And MCU's villains and love relationships don't always click or work. So I was very happy to see one that it didn't feel forced. It felt also very smooth to just go with the flow, and it didn't feel like Steven needed to explain everything to her. Oh, so I'm a magician and everything. No, she just, hey, things I'm doing right now, I got to go back. She's like, okay, cool, I copy, I understand. She's like, I don't really get what's going on, but go do you. So I really love that aspect of the film as well.
I'm really glad they didn't take the Pepper Potts route, which is like, Tony, you can't do this, you can't save the world, be a stay-at-home dad. Oh God, no, let Stephen Strange do what he needs to do, man. Shut up.
Bro, I'm so glad that you brought that up, and that's something that I'm going to talk about once we get to Endgame and stuff, because it's like, yes, I get it. Like, she loves Tony. She's also pregnant and hormonal, right? So it's like, I get it. I get her frustrations, but this is such a thing for Pepper over the entire MCU. It's like, you met him like this. You don't get to just wake up one day. It's like, you know what? Hang up your suit. Don't save the world. Let everyone die because I want
like,
you
right?
home at
That's
the end
who
of the
he
day.
is.
Like, you met him that way, right? If Pepper was a stripper and Tony met her as a stripper, Tony could not tell her, yo, stop stripping. You met her that way. So if you're not okay with it, then you shouldn't be in the relationship. But I digress. We'll get there once we get to Endgame.
Also, to see Wong before he was assistant. Wong is amazing, and I love like the chemistry. Like, my favorite scene was when Wong and Steven first met, and when Steven said, "Wait, just Wong?" Like, it's like Drake, and
Cher,
like, he said like
Beyonce.
he said like 5 different names, and then we came out for the second time. He said, "Hey, have you heard of Beyonce?" And like nothing later, but like 2 minutes later, he started put some Beyonce on his headphones, and then Steven just went to grab books there. Like, it was such a comedy relief moment, but it didn't feel forced. But it was such a good scene that I feel like, I wonder how it went behind the scenes for them. Like, did the actors try to role play around there and see how to improve it, because it felt so genuine and entertaining with Wong and Steven. Like, those 2 actors work so well with each other, and I was really enjoying that.
Yeah, and I feel like they've done a really good job at modernizing these sorcerers. I mean, from the outset, it looks like these sorcerers are just very stuck in ancient times. But from when you guys have said his name, I forgot his name, but the guy, he hands him the little passcode thing, and he's like, "Oh, what's this? An ancient seal?" He's like, "No, it's the Wi-Fi. We're not complete savages."
Yeah.
Like, it's like
password.
Yeah, literally, it shows that they're actually just normal people, and it even shows in Infinity War, like, "Oh, I'm hungry," or "How much have you got?" Like $1.50. It's like they're just actual normal guys, but they have like this whole weight of being sorcerers, and I really love that. It really like blends the modernity, but with the ancient spells. I really do love that.
Yeah, I love it too. How do you feel about Tilda Swinton being cast as the Ancient One? Because I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity to cast an Asian actor or actress. Like, I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity. Yes, Tilda Swinton is amazing, and I think she could do literally anything. But I feel like this was a huge missed opportunity. What do you guys think?
We spoke about this, I think, with Sam like 2-3 weeks ago when he was on, when we spoke about how excited we are for Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. I feel like MCU, the DC universe, for what it is, Warner Bros. And everything, have an understanding with now how to cast characters and for what the roles is. The entertainment industry, Hollywood himself, is having an understanding that getting the right actors and the right people is important. And I feel like the Ancient One, they did fuck up. Rewatching the film, I did question at first, like, "Oh shit, I forgot that she was the Ancient One," but she made it work. Good actress for what it is. James said it perfectly. She's great for what she did. She knocked out the park, but it would have been better and prefer if it was a Asian actress or actor to actually do the role of the Ancient One, because it would actually prefer for if they're in studying the mystic arts, if they're just trying to portray from the comics and everything, it would have been much better. But we digress. They have improved where we are now. Glad to say that.
And exactly, that's what I'd like to say is it's not about a company messing up and then just literally keep on messing up. It's like, I feel like the MCU knows that they did mess up on that point, and they took that on board, and going forward they've grown from that. And I can see, if a company's willing to grow from mistakes that they've made, I'm always willing to give it a chance. So yes, they did mess up, but that's fair enough. I mean, to be honest, you got to understand that most of these films are made by white males. Like that's the case, and they're not, white males are not always going to get it right. But I feel like they are trying to expand and bring diversity into the MCU, and a lot of the time, sometimes it could feel forced, but a lot of the time it doesn't feel forced, and it shows that they're just taking more people from ethnic backgrounds onto their board to help them with decisions. And I feel like if they had an ethnic person on the board with them, they probably would have pointed them to pick an Asian actor. But like I said, the casting wasn't terrible. It worked for what it was. But I feel like going forward, they will never make that mistake again. I haven't seen them make that mistake again. So I'm willing to let them grow and give them a pass.
Yeah, I'm with you in the exact same way. Like I feel like they just made a mistake. Maybe if they just had more people, more diverse people on their board to make those decisions, it would have gone a different way. Because like I said, I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity. It's like, where have we seen other like major Asian actors and actresses as heroes in the MCU? We haven't seen them yet. You literally have the Ancient One. Just do it.
If you could have cast the Ancient One right now, this opportunity, if you were back in 2015, 2014, as the casting director, if you had the opportunity to mention somebody to become the Ancient One, who would you choose?
I'm saying I forgot her name. London Tipton, man. I'm picking her, bro. I'm picking her to bring her career back, bro. She played Wendy Wu. She's used to the cast, bro.
Yeah.
For me, it would be Donnie Yen.
Who's Donnie Yen? Again, sorry.
He plays Ip Man.
IP Man.
Oh wait, yeah. You mean for the Ancient One, or
yeah, for the Ancient One, yeah.
I thought we was talking about the female.
Well, the Ancient One,
Ancient
One in the comics has been male and female before. That's why I said it doesn't really matter.
Okay, sorry. I'm not good with names. Everyone knows I'm terrible with names. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, for me, it would have been Donnie Yen. I would have loved to have seen him as Ancient One. Because the reason I said that, because if even though I haven't seen the full film, but I know of Rogue One, he was blind as his role. So like it would have been very beautiful to see him as the Ancient One. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing. A little too young for me personally, but I mean Tilda Swinton isn't exactly old.
I'm about to say that, James.
Yeah, right.
Makeup. Makeup could make him look much older.
My choice, even though he was already in Endgame, would be Hiroyuki Sanada. He played Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been fucking amazing as the Ancient One. But he was wasted in Endgame, so...
It is what it is. That's it. No, that's it for him unless they bring him back.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't see why they would. Unless it's like another like Earth in the multiverse and then he's like a different character, but I think that's way too much. But any final thoughts on Doctor Strange before we move on to Guardians Volume 2?
Perfectly that you asked that. My final thoughts for Doctor Strange is I love rewatching this film because knowing what we know now for the multiverse of madness and everything. Once me rewatching this film earlier and just seeing each one to say we grab our energy from the multiverse, I was like, wait. I heard this back in 2016. Why didn't I rewatch this film more than a couple of times? Like, what the fuck? Like, what was Miguel Parra doing back then? Not rewatching this film more than times, but seeing this, I'm like, yo, multiverse, and her explaining it and seeing the whole type of mirrorverse and explaining the astral place, and like, it makes me excited to see what they have done and to see what they could do and improve with the special effects and the VFX for the next film, and with Wanda powers, how they're all going to intertwine with each other. Like, it just makes me excited to see what I saw in this film to what we have. It like, I had a great time. Multiverse throughout the whole film, hearing from each one and her explaining. One of my favorite scenes, all I'm gonna say, is when the Ancient One and Dr. Stephen Strange was in the astral form, watching the lightning in the slow time and giving him last advice of what he should do to save the world, become the next Sorcerer Supreme and everything. I love that conversation because she was giving him the last words of wisdom, but also when he returned to mortal, he understood her because before she met him and everything, he hated her because he knew that he was using dark powers. When he met mortal again, he defended her, saying she's complicated, because he understood both sides of why she had to use the dark type of dimension powers. So I love that scene very much. It's because he understood and became understanding with grasping with what advice she gave him, and I love that very much. It was one of my favorite scenes throughout the film throughout the whole film, because it's a good monologue for him to understand, and I love that very much.
Yeah, like you said it all, man. Like I love Doctor Strange. I love this movie. I can't wait to see where it goes. That scene is our first like real like glimpse into what time travel is like within the MCU before they even put in all of the rules. Because remember when she says she could never see past this moment? That's because the future isn't written at all. With the time stone, you can only see potential futures, but the future isn't written at all. The past is completely set, and in the present, you're pretty much on a linear track forward onto one of the many different timelines. So I love that was a small little Easter egg into like what the time travel would eventually become in Infinity War and Endgame. But LS, what are your final thoughts on Doctor Strange?
I can't beat what Vash said. Yeah, I want to move on to to one of my favorite films. Let's go, man. Let's go. I'm itching.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, same. There's nothing else for me to say. I'm just ready for Multiverse of Madness at this point.
Yes.
I was watching Ragnarok today, and Benedict Cumberbatch is so good in this role. Like, he's so good in Ragnarok, playing off of Chris Hemsworth. It was amazing. I pray we get to see some scenes between Doctor Strange and Loki at some point in some other future movie or like a future series. I don't know how they'll make it happen at this point, but I just need these two incredible like sorcerers to go head to head. I can't wait for them to introduce Enchantress as well. That would be dope.
Yeah, but I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch just has a good relationship with everyone that he's working with in the MCU. Like whether it's with Iron Man, whether it's with Spider-Man. Like, honestly, just even with Guardians of the Galaxy, which we're about to talk about next, I feel like the way he bounces off everyone just feels so natural, and you could tell that actors are just happy to be around him. So I respect that a lot.
Yeah. All right. So those were our final thoughts on Doctor Strange. Let's move on to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, LS, I know you love this movie, so I want you to start off and tell us why you love Guardians Volume 2 so much.
This isn't a movie. This is a fucking anime, bro. Oh, excuse my French. This is an anime of a film, bro.
Oh, you good, bro. Yeah. Curse all you want.
This is an anime of a film, like literally, yeah, from start to finish. I just enjoyed it. I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 1 set up a lot. But when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's actually like in the MCU actual timeline in order of events that happen. So when you watch number 1 and then number 2 straight after, it is just a wild ride, because the way that they are together in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is amazing. And yes, it has its weird gimmicks that I don't like. For example, when they're going to Yondu, and then they have like the gold empress thing on the red carpet where she's walking along and it stumbles.
I fucking hate that scene, dude.
Yes, I do too. But you know what? I also hate a lot of things in Naruto, and I love Naruto. So I honestly just love the film. It's the first MCU film. Obviously this is pre-Endgame that I saw, and at the end, I genuinely cried. I did not go into that film with any type of hopes or ambition. I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, this looks all right. I feel like my low expectations projected the film so much more. Like when I watched it, I genuinely cried. And I was like, what? Why the hell am I crying over Yondu? What is going on here? What has my life hit rock bottom? What's happening? But honestly, I just really enjoyed it, man. Like there's like the whole scene of when they're trying to get Groot to get the when they're trying to get Groot to get the key to let them out, and or the whistle.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious. I'll give you that.
That is hilarious, bro. I was actually in stitches, and the fact that that film brought me on such a high and then broke my heart with that funeral scene was I was like, no, I can't believe this one has done this for me, and for that I always love it, bro. Like no matter when I watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, no matter what mood I'm in, I will always find some sort of enjoyment in it. And for me, it's just a feel-good movie. Is it the greatest thing in the MCU? Probably not. But personal favorite, or personal, like, how do I say, like a cheeky, like it's like a cheeky thing on the side. I really do love it, and I feel like I always will. And that's just my experience with it. So
that's fair, man. Like, I will never try to convince anyone to not like something that they love. Like, I want movies to be successful so that other movies can be made and people have to like them. So it's like, it is what it is. It's just, for me, Guardians 2, I find it incredibly boring. Now, I will say the first time that I saw Guardians 2, I fucking hated it. I got out of the theater and I'm like, James Gunn, you failed me, bro. You failed me in every way possible, because I feel like 99% of the time they went for every single joke possible, and maybe 2 of them land for me in the entire film, right? Like,
okay, I'll ask you this: out of sequels in the MCU, sequels alone, as in their second film, barring Winter Soldier, what else worked for you in terms of sequels?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was good in my opinion. I am actually a fan of Iron Man 2. I don't think it's a bad movie.
Same.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, Winter Soldier is my favorite.
Yeah, of course.
MCU movie. Period. Yeah.
Far From Home.
Oh yeah, Far From Home's amazing.
I don't know, man. I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 2's cut above that. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just trying to
you're
up
good.
before I forgot. Yeah, continue, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, but I just feel like, but I will say, I rewatched it 3 days ago, and I liked it a lot more than my previous watches. I still think it's really boring, and honestly, after I'm never gonna watch it again, more than likely, right? Like,
bro, I advise you to watch it with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 straight after. I did,
and it actually ruins my rewatch, because I think the first Guardians movie is so perfect, and then you go to Guardians 2 and it's like they try to do the sequel thing where you turn everything up to 11, but in every wrong way possible, in my opinion. Like,
question, James.
Yeah.
Well, if you had to rate it right now, what's the score for Guardian 1 and 2?
Guardians 1 out of 5 would be 4.5 out of 5. Guardians 2 would be 2.5 out of 5.
That's heartbreaking.
My boy Shaka, what's yours? Just curious to know, what's your rating for 1 and 2?
4.5 for both.
4.5 for both.
Interesting.
For me, Guardian 1 is like a 4.5, like a 4.7 out of 5, and Guardian 1's 2, it's a 3.5 or 3.
I can respect that.
It's a 3.5. But I will let James finish, and then I give my thoughts overall.
Yeah. So I feel like we've cut you a lot up, James. Sorry, I apologize, bro.
You good, bro. I want to hear your thoughts. So I'll start off with my positives, right? My positives for this film, and it was something that I did not appreciate the first time that I saw the film, was the deeper family connections within the Guardians team, right? We saw this ragtag group of people that didn't know each other come together, save the galaxy at the end of the first movie, but they still had to live together on a ship and still save the galaxy and do other things.
Literally, something that, sorry to cut you up once again, bro, but literally, at number 1, I feel like they enhanced on those things in number 2, as in, yes, there's this group of misfits, literal misfits, prisoners that have been put together to save the world, and that really showed in number 2. Like, even when they're trying to do good, they still do bad. It's because they're a bunch of criminals, and I love that, bro. I really love that. Like, when they saved they saved the gold thing, the gold people's jewels, basically. And then Rocket still took it, because Rocket has been screwed over his whole life. He just screws everyone else over. That's how he is. But you can't expect him to be some perfect person. But yeah, sorry, bro, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just feel like
no. Keep cutting me off. This is a great conversation.
This is a conversation, though. It's fine, Shaka. It's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry.
That was also one of my other favorite things, where it's like you get this comparison between Yondu and Rocket. Rocket has come to this place in his life where it's like, you know what? People eventually leave me, so why put any effort into this? I might as well just push them away so that I control the situation. And that's a very human trait, right? So these are things that I deeply, deeply appreciate. The relationship between Gamora and Peter, right? That developing is like, what are we? Is this actually a relationship? is this a situationship? Like, is it just because like we're the hottest people on the ship and that's why we fuck each other? Like, what really is this, right? And then in the first film, Peter struggled with not being there the moment his mom died, and then meeting his dad and going through all of these different things, only to find out that his father literally murdered his mother, right? And in that switch, that was something else that I really, really appreciated. But again, instead of staying within that seriousness and then throwing in humor in different ways, what do? They turn Peter into fucking Pac-Man, and then they turn Ego into David Hasselhoff, and I'm like, you're throwing me out of the movie, bro.
James, they made this more personal to the characters.
I know, but it didn't work for me.
But
those things were set up and yes, they bonded in number one because they had to save the world, but in number two, they had to save each other from this threat, and it was a more personal thing. And you see them grow with each other in this film, and that really does show in Infinity War and Endgame. Is that we've had number two to establish that yes, now Peter has seen the death of his father, which was Yondu, and before he had no one around him with his mom. He felt like he couldn't console in anyone, but this time he actually has a family with him, and that's a bond that way they won't be able to escape. Even with Rocket crying at the end, he wasn't crying. He was crying because he was sad for Peter and he felt empathy, and he's not really a person that feels empathy, and that's a bond that you really can't escape with each other, and that really does show in Infinity War and Endgame. They really do love each other, and I feel like we wouldn't have got those special moments in Infinity War and Endgame without number two being there.
You are 100. You're 100% correct, right? And I'm gonna wrap up right now, Vash, and then you can take over. But it's like I 100% agree. The character moments is what is the best part of this film, but I feel like the editing and the choices of where to put humor, much like Age of Ultron, completely misplaced and did not work. There should be moments of seriousness, and then you're cutting the tension too early, and it just doesn't work because now I don't feel the tension at all, right? I will say on this time around, when Yondu died, I really felt it. Like much like you, LS, I legit almost cried. But the first time I saw the film, I was like, at this point, I don't give a fuck, right? I don't give a fuck about any of these people the first time I saw the film. But when I watched it a couple of days ago, I'm like, fuck, like Yondu was Peter's dad, man. Like, yeah, he's a dick sometimes, but that was his dad. He took care of him, taught him how to fight, taught him how to shoot, how to survive in this wild west of space. So the character moments is what I love, but again, the humor was really misplaced. I feel like it has a lot of tonal issues, and as a film, that doesn't work. Character moments is not enough to make an entire film good.
And I feel like they really did good with the character moments of the father relationship, etc. I mean, we don't really know too much about Iron Man's parents, etc. But I feel like they really like solidified the parent with Yondu, as in like he wasn't a perfect person, and it's a representation that your parents in life do make mistakes, and they're not the best people, and there's always like, so Yondu felt the pressure of being of I forgot the gang that he was with, but he felt the pressure of being that gang that he was with, which influenced his
the Ravengers.
Yeah, with the Ravengers, it influenced how he treated Peter. He treated him like a Ravenger, and sometimes in even our world, our parents are so pressured that they treat us in a way where they're not ready to have kids. Yondu wasn't ready to have a kid, but
so
he
I'm gonna just say
relationship with this person. I feel like that set that up. I feel like that. Sorry, go on, Vash.
No, I was just gonna say what Yondu has said himself, and it was beautiful because this was a beautiful scene of what he said. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I'm sorry, I didn't do it. I'm sorry, I didn't do none of it right. I'm damn lucky you're my boy. That scene got me as well. Then it felt my tear. Me, the way I found the film, I'm between James and Shaka. I'm like right there in the middle because I had a good time with this film, but I was lackluster from how the first one was 3 years ago before that, because I felt like this film, I expected it more, but I felt like how James felt. Like I felt like the jokes with Drax saying that something about his reflexes, he cannot miss their sarcasm or the jokes above him or something like that. And I'm like, Drax the Destroyer, like that's why Batista wants to leave the property, because he feels like he's wasted as a character. And I feel like Drax is a man who has the name of the Destroyer. And I'm like, throughout the whole second film, he literally just made jokes, and Mantis was saying like, you have a lot of sadness, you have like, all right, but Drax, like, I felt like I wanted more of these characters, and
Question:
the main focus we got was Star-Lord. And it makes sense because this was his story about him and his father with ego and everything. But on the side was like Rocket, Groot, and Yondu, and a bit of a other side characters. But I feel like Gamora was in a weird side character, trying to understand, was her in relation with Peter and Quill? Are they sex friends, or are they a couple or not? So, and Drax was the most useless of the film, but he was one of my favorites out of the first film. So like, how do you go from having Drax as such a cool character, but then having him such as a lackluster character in the second one? So I felt like I had a good time. That's the one film I did not get the chance to actually have a rewatch for. So who knows if I rewatch it tonight or this weekend, I will actually change sides. But at the moment, where from going by memory, I wish I could have actually enjoyed the film much better, for because I know I've seen it about 3 times since it came out, and I wish I had a lot more positive or things to say about it, because it could have been much better with storytelling, with how Father the Eagle living planet with Star-Lord at the end of the film, them going fighting each other like it's a whole smoke screen, and Pac-Man, like what James said, is like, I guess this what you could have done as the final act of the film. It reminded me of how the first Wonder Woman film of the last third act, it was a lot of CG and special effects there. I'm like, I guess, sure, cool. Wasn't very entertained by it. I just want to see the end of the film, and that's it, really. So I don't know.
I feel like from my perspective, I feel like it done a very good thing at showing broken families. I mean, come a bit personal here. As someone who's come from a broken family myself, I resonated with a lot of things that was happening in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, like the hate between Gamora and how I forgot her sister's name.
Nebula.
Nebula. That, and then obviously the relationship between Yondu and Star-Lord, and just themselves being a family, the whole Guardians of the Galaxy, like I really resonated with them being a broken family, because I feel like in the MCU we get a lot of nuclear families, and like with two parents there that love the MCU. Obviously Spider-Man, we know what happens with him, but yeah, but I feel like we have that a lot, and we don't really get to see like the broken side of a family. And it really just shows like you understand why these lot are misfits. I mean, Peter Quill, he was brought into the Ravagers as a human, and he just didn't fit in there. So, and he learned everything from Yondu, so he acts like Yondu. You get Rocket, who was an experiment being screwed over by the world. Groot doesn't say much, so Groot follows him, and he doesn't mind having Groot around. You see Gamora.
Oh, Groot was adorable throughout the film. When Groot was like the beginning of the film, when Groot was just dancing, and there was a whole type of action sequence right behind him. Like, that's to me one of the most favorite intro sequence out of the whole MCU. It was adorable. The Groot dancing and everything. It's just cute as hell.
I hated it.
Yeah, no, but Hold on, Light made a good point. Tony is Spider-Man's dad in the MCU, and I respect that as well.
Yeah,
People hate that, but I really do feel the emotion when Tony tells Peter, "If you die, that's on me." Like, I felt that a lot, bro.
I feel like people. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I feel like people. I feel like people feel like Tony is replacing Uncle Ben. No, Uncle Ben already instilled values in Peter.
Yeah.
But guess what? Uncle Ben's dead. So therefore, the next figure in his life that he looks up to, like a father figure, is Tony Stark. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I feel like
it makes no logical sense, because most people that don't have parents, like for example, like if you're a child and everything, and don't have a mom and dad, who's the next person to look up to? Your grandparents or your uncles? If those people are next, if those people are not in your life, it's the people that you surround yourself with. Any type of adult figure, aka Peter didn't have any adult figure other than his Aunt May. But when Tony came into his life, and for the next 2-3 years being working with him and everything like that, of course that became his next father figure to actually support him and guide him to where he is. But I also want to say, like, one of my favorite interaction was Yondu and Rocky as well. When Yondu asked him, "You like a professional asshole or what?" And Rocky's like, "Yeah, pretty much a pro." Like that, those type of comedy bits work when it's just so simple and didn't feel forced. When Drax did the comedy bits, I felt like it was forced and not really organic.
Yeah, you must be so embarrassed. Do me. I'm like, this is not funny, man.
But James, I hear you, but it had some beautiful shots in it as well. Like, you know, the scene where
amazing shots.
You know when Rocket and Peter, just before that, but they go their own separate ways, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have to be a dick about everything," you know. And it has that like montage of them going away in slow motion. I feel like that shot is beautiful, bro. Like,
because Drax also say, "Out of the way, dumber and smaller Groot," and I'm like, that line I remember. I'm like, that wasn't that funny. Like, overall, like the film could have been great for what it was, and it just felt flat in some jokes in that department.
You could tell what parts were organic. Like the moment where he's like, "I'm gonna go jump inside him," and everyone's like, "No, you don't jump inside him. He's not gonna be as soft as in the inside." And I feel like that was a joke from the whole Marvel things that those beasts in the Marvel films where they went inside of it and then cut it from the inside. And I feel like that bit was like pretty organic. But like I said, I do realize its flaws. Like Drax is a flaw. Mantis also has her flaws in the film, but she redeems herself in Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love that Mercenary brings this up. Taserface!
No, Taserface is hilarious.
That entire bit, bro, I'm like, this is fucking garbage.
No, that was hilarious.
Garbage, bro.
No. It would have been garbage, yeah, but the setup for the bit, yeah, where he's like, "Oh, I told him who saved the race." It was Taserface, and just see that gold girl giggle before he gets.
I did have to search up who's Taserface because I actually forgot about him. And I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, I still forgot about him. I really.
Bro. Like, I don't care. Yeah, maybe I'm just one for cheesy humor. Yeah, but that.
Me too. I love cheese, but that was way too much.
I do love packaged with cheese. I definitely.
Oh God.
No, bro. I feel like it was dragged on maybe just a little bit. Yeah, like the whole thing where he's like, "Oh, this guy wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, and says, 'It's me, Taserface.'"
Exactly. Oh my God.
I feel like that bit was drawn out here, but it was all worth the payoff for when he was like, "Oh, I told him who saved him."
But question,
I feel like that was hilarious.
Yeah, he says it, and then like he contacts like one of the people from I can't remember what the gold people are called, and then she even starts laughing. I'm like, dude, sometimes don't go for the bit. Just once. Yeah, just don't go for the bit.
I feel like Honest Trailers actually said a valid point where they were like, this film finds it hilarious more than other people find it hilarious.
Facts, bro.
Everyone's laughing at the jokes made in the film, and I understand that for some people it just might not be their type of comedy.
It's not funny at all.
Quick throwback to that.
For me, I think it's funny.
I remember something about Doctor Strange. Throughout the whole film, Steven tried to make Wong laugh, but then at the right end of the film, Wong actually laughed for the first time. And Steve was like, "Really? That made you laugh out of all the stuff I've said?" That just threw me back to it. But to add to what I was going to say, how do you guys feel? Like, we didn't really tackle this topic overall. How do we actually feel of the antagonist of Ego, the living planet itself, actually? How do we all feel about the, like, where you guys actually retain as... Like, we know about the hidden message, about the broken family, father and son and everything. But how do you actually feel him and his overall plan of, having kids and everything, like James?
James.
Yeah, I'll go real quick.
Yeah, go on, bro.
So I loved the premise. That he felt like he needed to expand and to pretty much take over the entire universe to bring universal peace, right? And just to expand himself. My thing is, I didn't really feel the stakes, right? Just because you show me a couple people on Earth running from a blue cloud, I don't feel the sense of danger. And then I kind of wish this showed me other planets. It's like, well, it's Earth, so I should care about humans. Believe me, I don't give a fuck at all. But it's like...
They did show other planets, though.
Did they?
Yeah,
While
in
the
the
blue
montage.
bubble thing was happening?
Yeah. They had like the whole montage of that mother and the alien mother and the alien child running. They did. But
You're right.
go
You're
off,
right.
King. Go
But
off.
for me, I just didn't feel the stakes at all, and it's like, okay, they stop him, he loses concentration, and then the blue bubble stops, and then we cut to some humans. They look at the blue bubble instead of running, and then it starts again, and then they start running again. I just didn't feel the stakes at all.
Yeah, literally, I hear that. When I saw them stop running to start recording and then start running again, bro. If I am at McDonald's and I see a blue, especially in the superhero universe, and I see that happen, I know some shit's going down. I'm out of here. Because even if the Avengers show up, I probably still have a good probability of, I don't know, dying. Because yeah, so I hear that. But I don't know, man. I feel like it's very um Ego is very similar to Omni-Man in the sense as like, oh yeah, I loved your mom. Yeah, she was like a pet. There's a wider thing going on here, you know what I'm saying? And I made you to continue that, you
It
know what I'm
killed
saying?
me to put that tumor in her brain. I actually felt his sorrow. He actually felt like he was sorry.
Yeah, no, he was, but because he's
Caruso
not
did a
human,
beautiful
he
job
doesn't
there for that.
empathize. Pardon?
I would say Caruso did a good job with that scene and actually making us believe that. And I try to search the blue bubble scene. I do not remember what it was. But I did see a quick scene of YouTube showing me the Yondu arrow killing scene. I totally forgot about that scene. That scene, just quick.
That was a great scene. That was
skimming through
shot.
That slow motion shot, and the animation. The visual effects is.
See, you said animation. You said animation. It's basically an anime, bro. I'm telling you.
I'm not gonna agree to that, Shaka. I'm not gonna agree to that. It was freaking beautiful. That arrow scene is amazing. But to Eagle the Living Planet, I agree with James. I am on that note where I feel like he could have been slightly better with his evil plot of taking planets and all the whatnot. Like, I wouldn't mind to see some type of Death Star scene where like we actually see it right there moment, like, hey, look at this. There's a video scene from this planet after destroyed. This is what I want us to do. Like actually seeing some type of Death Star scene, like actually see a planet get destroyed at this right moment, so we can see like, oh shit, this guy is an antagonist. It's a bad guy, but it's just a father and son just bonding. Like, yo, son, I want you to join me, join the Empire. Trying to, recruit my sons that have, laying around the universe and trying to get you here and everything. So I want you to join me and everything. And then he said, nah, that's a dub. I think I should kill you and everything. So I feel like I would have preferred to see some type of blueprint. Like we saw the blueprint, but at least some type of blueprint to actually seeing that it happened.
No, I'm not. I hear that as well. But I feel like it was a good contrast to the people that actually was Peter's family. Like even in that whole scene where they're fighting Ego and they're looking for the tape. I know, James, you probably hate that scene, but it's like, I have that in my own household. Oh, I'll go to my brother, do you have some tape? He's like, no. Ask your sister. It's like,
I actually thought that was funny.
Yeah, she's like, oh, do you have tape? She's like, why would I have tape? I'm not a flipping student. Ask your brother, he's a student. I'll go to him, he's like, ask my brother. He's like, do you have tape? Oh, I'm not an equipped student. Why the hell would I have tape? So yeah, I just found little moments like that show that he really is family with these people.
Yeah, that was, I will give you that. That was hilarious. And then just Rocket trying to get Groot to like not press the wrong button.
Don't
Groot's
press the button.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
I
am Groot.
That was
fucking hilarious.
That is literally like sending my youngest brother to the shop, like, go get this and make sure it's this one. And he's like, yes, this one. And he will come back with the wrong one. And he'll be like, for God's sake.
I felt like Groot when I was a kid, because every time my parents tell me I have to do something for them, like, go to the supermarket, get a certain type of vegetable, but I bring the wrong one. They'd be like, I told you to get the right one. I'm like, huh?
I am Groot.
What?
I am Groot.
I'm Groot. I'm Groot. Like, I felt like that. Like, that's one scene I love when, like, Rock is the parent and Groot is, like, the kid trying to understand what you're trying to speak to him and trying to understand what you're trying to tell him to do, but they don't understand one shit you're trying to tell them to do. But they're like, I totally understand, but totally lying out of your ass and be like, yeah, I totally don't know what vegetable you're telling me, but I'm going to be my best to bring the right one for you, but I'm going to totally fuck it up and I'm going to totally get in trouble. But you know what? I'm going to do my best and hopefully to satisfy you.
I love the way Rocket just knows that as well. He tells him to go do it. And he's like, Yeah, we're all gonna die. Like,
fuck it. We died tonight.
We died. Oh, well, it is what it is. And I love that, man. I just love that. Hopefully, I've changed you guys' mind a little bit, but I completely understand what you guys.
No. But like I said, I'm between 3 to 3.5 out of 5. Like so, like I said, still entertaining film for what it is, but it's definitely a letdown. Like not like that. It's like a downgrade from the first one. Still enjoyable for what it is, but if you enjoy Guardians, if you enjoy the cast, if you enjoy the actors, you can still have a good time. If you people like me and James that critique stuff for what it is, then you will see the small differences from the first film. So I guess overall, those were my final thoughts.
I will say Endgame and Infinity War makes me like Guardians 2 a little bit more when it comes to the character beats, because in Endgame, when Nebula realizes that Thanos was successful, she knows instantly that he sacrificed Gamora. And then in Guardians Volume 2, all Nebula ever wanted was a sister. And even though Gamora is a nice person, she was just trying to survive herself, and she didn't even realize the impact that she was having on her own sister. It's like, yeah, every time you win, you're safe, but every time Nebula loses, she's torn apart and put back together with different pieces. You know what I mean? So Nebula's rage is completely understandable, and agreed. I love that they at least start to reconcile. So when Gamora's gone, it's like, oh shit, like I just got my actual sister and now she's gone. Right? So I really, really like how all of those moments came together. So yeah, I mean, I guess those are my final thoughts as well. Like the emotional beats between Gamora and Nebula is pretty much my favorite thing in the whole movie. And overall, my favorite parts of the movie were the character beats. I will say Guardians Volume 2 has my absolute favorite Stan Lee cameo out of any Marvel movie.
Yes, I was going to mention
ever.
That, yes.
Since like the first like 4 films of the MCU, even in the Fox movies, I've always said to myself, wouldn't it be cool if Stan Lee was a Watcher in canon? And this movie legitimately solidifies the fact that Stan Lee's a fucking Watcher in the MCU, and I cry every time I see it, bro. It's so amazing.
Yes.
But
yeah, so LS final
Shaka,
thoughts?
I was about to ask, what's your final thoughts, since you're the most positive out of 3 of us here? What's yours?
Listen, I'll just say this. Watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's a great anime. Seriously.
You're going to stick with that, aren't you?
Yeah, seriously, it's a great anime, bro. One of the greatest animes ever.
Dope then. Cool.
That's all I've got to say.
All right. Well, the next film that we're going to talk about is another film that I absolutely love the more and more that I watch it, and that is Spider-Man Homecoming. I remember the first time I saw this film, it was like watching the Marvel Spider-Man like PS4 game, getting to see Spider-Man use all the different gadgets and all the different web shooters and stuff like that. Like, that was something that I really, really loved. Michael Keaton is fucking incredible in this movie as the Vulture. I know I'm in the bottom 1% of people. I do not think Michael Keaton is a good Batman. I do not think he's a good Bruce Wayne. I think his Vulture is 1,000 times better than he ever was as Batman. He's so terrifying and menacing in this film. One of my favorite moments is when he's just sitting in the car with Peter and Liz, and he's just putting all the pieces together. He's like, wait, you were in Washington too and you just left? You were at the party and you just left? Wait, if you left, that means that you could have been Spider-Man, because Spider-Man came after me at those exact same times. So watching him put it together with no dialogue, that was incredible. Liz gets out of the car, he pulls out his gun, and he just has this moment with Peter. And it's so fucking deep, bro. You feel every emotion on Tom Holland's face, and he's such a great actor too. Like, that was such a great moment between the two. But there's so much to talk about with Spider-Man Homecoming. LS, I want to start with you. What are some of your favorite moments and overall thoughts?
Yeah, bro, honestly, like, I was just hyped for this film regardless. It could have been complete dog shit and I would have still enjoyed it, because Spider-Man is my favorite, bro. I grew up with Spider-Man, but it wasn't complete dog shit, and I just loved it even more. And it showed, following what you said, it really did show a vulnerable side to superheroes. If you pull a gun on Tony Stark, you're thinking, yeah, Tony Stark's gonna have some sort of gadget on him that's gonna stop it. You put a gun on on Captain
a
America.
15-year-old kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You put a gun on Captain America, you're getting effed up, bro. There's no debating it. You put a gun on a 15-year-old kid, and you really feel that tension. I remember sitting there in the cinema looking around, feeling like I feel awkward right now, and they really did a good job at that. And I think it really did show Tom Holland's skills as an actor, like especially the bit when Vulture basically collapses the whole building and like he's trapped. As someone who's claustrophobic, yeah, I even felt claustrophobic in that scene where he's trying to lift everything. He's like, "Help! Can somebody help? Can somebody help?"
That is my favorite scene in the entire movie. But go ahead.
Yes, literally, bro, because I really did feel claustrophobic in that scene. And yeah, bro, obviously it has its faults, like the gimmicks and stuff that you see in MCU films. Maybe they were a bit outdated by the time you get to Spider-Man, but bro, honestly, I just really, really enjoyed the film. And I hear what you say about Michael Keaton. Like, he wasn't the best Batman, but it really shows that through the years, he's really established himself as an actor and grown as an actor to the point where he's in this film now. And if he's in the Flash Paradox film,
he is.
as Batman again, well, then it really does make you excited because he's like, wow, this guy's really grown now. And yeah, I feel like it was just a really good cast of old actors, young actors, and yeah, the comedy, even though yes, it has its flaws, it was there, and I loved it. I really did. Like, what you want from Spider-Man? If anyone's going to be a quippy superhero, it's Spider-Man, bro.
Definitely.
It's Spider-Man. I don't like comics sometimes. I haven't read a lot, but sometimes the comics try to make Spider-Man like this really serious guy. But yeah, no, that's the Spider-Man I want, and that's the Spider-Man I got, and I cannot complain.
So this is something we talked about on Anime Lately last night, but rank the Spider-Mans: Tom Holland, Garfield, and Maguire.
Shit. Okay, right. For saying best Spider-Man as Spider-Man, I think Andrew Garfield is actually the best Spider-Man, bro. Like, I really do think he is the best Spider-Man. For rating best Peter Parkers is Tom Holland. Not Andrew Garfield.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire is a good balance of both, I
Interesting.
believe. Yeah. So that's how I would rate it. But yeah, that's my rating. Why? What was everyone else's?
So me, it's Tom Holland. Period. I think he's the best Spider-Man. I think he's the best Peter Parker. Although I will say Andrew Garfield is extremely close. His Spider-Man is fucking incredible. Like, he really gets it. And although The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a dog shit movie in my eyes, he's incredible. Like, when he was going after the Rhino and he's on top of the truck, he's like, you can call me Spidey, you can call me Amazing, and he's just so quick with the quips, bro. And then like when he's in his room, like trying to figure everything out, and he's wearing the suit while he's trying to do everything, and Andrew Garfield's amazing. But for me, it's Tom Holland all the way.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say about Garfield, it's like Garfield didn't know how to differentiate between the persona of Spider-Man and the real life Peter Parker.
That's fair.
Peter Parker is a very awkward person, but I couldn't feel that from Andrew Garfield. And that shouldn't be bad because
he tried. He
tried. But you can't help the way you look. You're a very good-looking guy and everything. But like, as your persona as Spider-Man is amazing, bro. Like, honestly, I really enjoyed his Spider-Man performance. I really did, bro.
Yeah. Vash, what are your thoughts?
So when Shaka said that he don't read that much comics of Spider-Man thing, I was trying to find the one I have of Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. One of the best Spider-Man issues I've ever read. Is such a good one because it's the older Spider-Man, but he's a serious one, but also who he is because he's married to Mary Jane and he has kids and everything. So it's such a good series that I highly do recommend for anybody that want to see a good side of Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. It's such a good series. But of this film, Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. For those that did not watch the anime podcast last night and everything, I have the same list as James as well. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire was good at the time. I don't know why people still put him in a such high pedestal, which I understand. But like, hey, people gotta move on. He was the Spider-Man, and for those movies at the time, where we are now at the time where we can actually adapt good characters that actually suits the role for those characters. And I love how this film puts Peter Parker, Spider-Man, into the live action in such a good way. Tom Holland knows how to bring him to life. One of my favorite scene is when he tries to bring the ship back together. Like he's struggling and he believes that he needs a suit and everything. The scene right after that, when Tony takes the suit away from it and Peter tells him, "I'm nothing without the suit." And I love that advice that Tony puts him in a lecture mode. Is like, if you're not doing the suit, then you don't deserve to be Spider-Man or anything. And I love that suit. I love that scene so much because it's like teaching him in a different matter. With great power comes with great responsibility. But it's Tony Stark in a way teaching him the same idea from Uncle Ben. But people get mad that, oh, Tony Stark is a new father figure. Like, no shit, because there is no father figure in Peter's life. He doesn't have that. If people read the comics as well, who's a father figure before I'm sorry, in Spider-Man 2, um we have Dr. Octavius. Dr. Octavius was a father figure for Peter as well, but then he became bad. And then, some comics he's like a good guy or whatever. But when Tony Stark is teaching him a lesson, it's because Peter relies so much on technology that he felt like the suit was more superior for him, that he felt like he could be a better hero to save others because he was inspired by Tony Stark, because he has done so much within the past 8 years already, that him as Iron Man. So when Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, put Peter under his wing, Peter felt like a more pressure that he has to be such a good hero and in a fast track way. That's why he felt like he needed to learn the tricks of the suit, learn how to maneuver and how to be better with the suit. So I love that scene when Tony told him like, "Hey, you're not doing your suit." Tony got mad for a reason because he got taught this lesson as well. Like, without Tony with the suit, he's still a Superboy genius. Without the suit, he doesn't need the suit. It's just the suit makes him better, and that's what he tried to teach Peter Parker. And I love that scene so much, very well. So, like, I was talking so much about that scene, but it's because that scene really embodies that movie so well. It's because it shows those characters of Michael Keaton. James brought it up when Michael Keaton literally put two and two together without no dialogue. When the actor could body language, speak to the audience, speak to the camera of what they're thinking and what they're trying to analyze without no monologue, is beautiful because we, the audience, is understanding what Michael Keaton is trying to put two and two together. Like, oh shit, this kid that was in DC is fucking Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. So it's like, oh shit. And the fight sequence, even the ending scene when Michael Keaton was going to prison and asked him, "Oh shit, you know who is Spider-Man?" Michael Keaton like, he kept that secret to himself, showing that he has respect for Peter as much as that he don't like him because he's dating his daughter and everything. But he has respect because if he tells who's Peter Parker, they will go for his daughter as well. So I should love that shit. Like, it's so beautiful and symbolic for this film. Like, I had a great time overall.
Yeah, no, following on what you said, someone made a joke that Spider-Man Far From Home is actually a communist movie because hear me out. It's because the real villain in the film is capitalism. It's the way you put two people from poor backgrounds against each other. With Michael
Yes.
Keaton. Yeah, no, it was a joke. It was a joke. But when I sat on it, I was like, huh. Maybe it is
it's not far
movie.
off.
It's not far off.
Yeah,
off.
like that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess you can't you can't argue with that.
He was the real villain in that film. It was capitalism. Like I said, there's been many people. So I feel like it showed that Michael Keaton was the route that Iron Man could have gone down. I mean, Michael Keaton was selling weapons to not warmongers, but made like people that were on the streets for the best price, just like Tony Stark was selling weapons to terrorists who had the best price. Except for Michael Keaton's one was on a much lower scale, and Michael Keaton and Spider-Man, they both just come from hardworking backgrounds, and they're pitted against each other. And yeah, so someone said it's actually a communist film and how capitalism has put these two poor people against each other, and who wins at the end of the day? Tony Stark, because he gets his stuff back, the biggest
And
capitalist of them all.
plus also this just to point out, we didn't really touch on it, but this is probably the most hottest Aunt May in live adaptation and in comics I've ever seen in my life. I have seen every Spider-Man cartoons and I have not read every Spider-Man comic, so I don't know how every iteration
old. Most of
is always old. So just to see this, I'm like, all right, MCU. I guess you guys are trying to hit all the audience here. I guess all right, cool. And Tony trying to hit on her. Okay, actually, it was Happy that's trying to hit on her, and there. I'm like, okay. I fuck with this. This is pretty interesting. So this was very hilarious when Happy was the one that's actually dating the honor. They said like that's adorable.
Yeah, and I feel like I like the way that they done that, as in they had like a younger, more vibrant Aunt May that's more like that has like a bigger presence rather than this old lady that Peter has to take care of. It's like, she can handle herself. Like she's got her own things, and when she finds out about him being Spider-Man, she's a little bit worried, funny. But she's very supportive of him. Like, oh, you haven't got your Peter Tinkle and all that stuff there that she says in the next film. It's like she's very supportive. Oh my God. It's very supportive, and I don't know, like a younger, vibrant Aunt May. I feel like it's good. I feel like I really do enjoy that as well.
Yeah, man. Like, there's so many amazing moments in this movie, and a lot of great like Spider-Man, Peter Parker moments. Like right at the beginning of the film, like just watching Peter vlog everything that happened during Civil War. I thought that was really, really dope. And then like watching him in chemistry class, creating the web fluid, the relationship between him and Ned, like just watching him web sling through the city, saving different people. And then like sometimes he thinks he's saving someone, but it's really just this guy trying to get into his own car. But and then the alarm was going off and everything. It was hilarious, man.
As a 15-year-old superhero, that is an honest mistake that I would make as well. I would feel so awkward in the situation.
I was gonna actually guess. Do y'all really care that they messed up with the casting for Flash Thompson?
I mean, they didn't mess up. They went for something more modern instead of doing
that's
the
what I meant
old
to
way,
say.
which is just like the fucking jock. Big dumb jock against a nerd. Yeah. No, it's cool to be a nerd now. So it's everyone's a nerd, and now
they took some inspiration from 22 Jump Street. I believe in that. And that they made Flash Thompson this smart guy, and I don't know if we haven't said it, but I really do like Zendaya's MJ in this only because I love it. She reminds me of my sister so much. The bland body language and everything. Every time we're watching that film, I'm looking over at my sister like, you know, that's you, right? That is you. I've come here to draw people in the lowest point of their lives. I liked it.
I don't understand why so many people were mad. Like, that's not MJ, the red hair. I'm like, who gives two fucks? All right.
Yeah, I'm like, who cares? Ned is also not a Peter Parker best friend in the comics. So
that's Miles Morales.
Do you have a problem with it? No, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm like, when people say no problem about Ned, but they complain about Zendaya, I'm like, all right, but Ned is Miles Morales' best friend. So why are you complaining about Peter Parker, aka this one? I'm like, but then people gonna complain that Mary Jane, like, oh, she's not saying tiger, or she doesn't have red hair. I'm like, you know, there's some characters that switch colors, and at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? As long as that.
And it's like she's literally not Mary Jane. She's someone else. She's not Mary Jane. So why would she be?
She's an original character.
Mary Jane. Yeah, she's a completely original character. But jumping back to Flash Thompson real quick, I love that the type of bully that he is, because he's really only a bully because he's lashing out, because he doesn't have any time and support from his parents. His parents are always gone. They're normal. Never around. And that's just his way of dealing with it. And he's just a kid. He's a 15-year-old kid. Yeah. And that's how he deals with it. He pokes fun at Peter, but he's a good kid. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that they updated Flash from the stupid, dumb jock. I really hated that. But one thing that this film also does really, really well is a lot of like character introductions, right? We get a tease of the Prowler. We get the first tease of Miles Morales. We get the tease of the Shocker. We get the best Vulture in any medium ever. We get the Tinkerer. We get so many different things in this film, and it's so much fun watching it all come together. I love the scene where the bank robbers all have on the Avengers masks, and Peter is in there fighting them, and he's quipping the whole time while he's fighting him. It's like, that's Spider-Man, bro. This is what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was missing. This is what Andrew Garfield's movies tried to do and failed to do overall, and just mastered in this film.
Talking of introductions, can we mention that end credit scene? That was one of the most surprising things that I have seen. When I saw it, firstly in the cinema, and my phone in the cinema, you have no service, and I was literally searching. I was like, "There's no fucking."
Can you remind me?
There's no.
What's the end credit scene again?
John Jonah Jameson, bro.
Yes,
that was Far From Home.
Oh, was that Far From Home?
Yeah, that's Far From Home.
I'm getting my films mixed up. Oh no, the end credit scene for this one was ridiculous. It was flipping Captain America giving a lecture. Excuse what I said.
But the mid-credit scene though is a Sinister Six Easter egg, because you have Scorpion, Vulture, and then like they're gonna meet Morbius at some point, and then we're gonna get like some other characters. So that was a nice little Easter egg.
My bad. I am so sorry. I'm mixing my films.
No worries, man. It's a nice mix up and everything. I'm just hoping with what we got the introduction of Spider-Man and everything, and with MCU, and with Kevin Feige mentioning this past year that he has no problem bringing the Netflix characters in the future with what we know with No Way Home. I hope to see Matt Murdock, the lawyer, to be working with Spider-Man. That's my hope. Please. That's my hope as a comic book fan.
Yep.
That's my hope as a Spider-Man and Daredevil fan. See those two characters.
I need to see movie on the cinema Spider-Man taking the piss out of Matt Murdock's blindness. I need to see it. I just need to see it. Sorry, Vash.
And like, no, it's fine, man. And like the quips to what James said, like to talk about Spider-Man that knows how to be a hero, but failing at it while doing his best to be good at it, and doing the quips at the same time is so smooth. Can't wait to and also to see the genius that James brought up about him improving his web shooters in science class and everything. Like that shows the smartness of the ideology of Peter, improving his equipment all the time. Yes, he relied on technology throughout the film, but he learned from that. He still is a smart kid. That's why he got accepted to Tony Stark, fake, award thing, but it's because how smart he is as a character.
Yeah, man, this film has just so much to offer, and it's just so much fun. LS brought it up earlier, but when he was under all of that rubble and he's just looking at his reflection, and it's half the mask, half his face, and he can hear Tony's monologue to himself telling him, like, if you can't do this without if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it, right? And I told you, this is my favorite moment. I love it where he's like, come on, Peter. Come on, Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man. He's hyping himself up. Like, I'm getting goosebumps, bro. Like, it's legit, like, my favorite scene. I love that John brought up that they kind of missed an opportunity to tease Chameleon. I think that's coming.
Oh, yes.
I think there's going to be a shit ton of Spider-Man movies, which is why you got Tom Holland, right? You wanted Tom Holland. You wanted a young Spider-Man, because I think even with his return in Endgame, he's still technically only 16 to 17 years old. So there's still so much time to grow with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So we'll definitely see Chameleon. I will riot if we do not see Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin against Tom Holland in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
So on the topic of Kingpin and Spider-Man, we know in this film that the Avengers Tower was sold. Who do you guys think it was sold to? Oscorp, or do you think it's going to be the new Baxter Building?
Oscorp.
I think Oscorp as well.
Oscorp.
I hope it's Oscorp because it would be good for Peter. It will be more, since he's part of the Avengers, and Oscorp of Osborn. So like that's a question I was going to ask you guys now. So with now Tony Stark out of the picture, we're jumping ahead a bit. With him out of the picture, who do you think will be his next father figure from what we know? Doc Ock as Dr. Octavius, Dr. Connor, or Norman Osborn with Harry? Which of those three options you think will be the next one? Because we know all of them would technically betray him, at the end, because storytelling
I,
and everything. But which one did you think that would be showing first?
I don't think we need to see the Doc Ock relationship again, and they
Yeah.
really tried to establish themselves away from the original Spider-Man films. So I wouldn't say Doc Ock or Norman Osborn. I'm not too sure actually. Jen, who do you think?
I mean, if I had to pick one, I would want it to be Osborn. I want him to
Same.
develop a relationship with Harry, and then that's how he meets Osborn. And because I mean, we still don't know where exactly the radioactive spider came from within the MCU. We can
Mhm.
only assume that it came from an Oscorp building, but we don't know that definitively. So maybe, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if he knows Harry already. We don't know
Yeah,
his
we don't
like
know.
his history with Oscorp, so I'm not really sure. But if I had to pick one out of those people, I think it would be better if it's Osborn, because Osborn also offers like his genius intellect and his drive for business, right? I feel like that's something that Peter would be magnetic to. I think he would really be interested in Osborn. Yeah, but this film was dope, man. I think the Vulture suit was amazing. I can't wait to see more of the Tinkerer because, to my knowledge, he wasn't arrested, was he? I
I
didn't
do
see him
No,
get
not
arrested.
I'm,
remember.
I'm not too sure. I don't think he was. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no. I don't
so
think he
I
was.
can't wait to see like what else the Tinkerer comes up with. Like, what was the Tinkerer doing during the blip, right? Like, what was he doing during that time? Like, was he blipped? Was he blipped away? Was he working on stuff the entire time? Like, could he be working for the organization that US Agent is going to be working for with Madam Hydra? Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can connect all of these characters together. So I fucking love the MCU, man. They've done such an incredible job with these films.
Yeah,
Same.
and I feel like COVID. I shouldn't say this in a way, but like, I feel like the pause from movies has really made us appreciate the MCU more, as we really do miss going to the cinema and seeing the end credits scene, being the first ones to see it, and that whole type of feeling. And I feel like once we have it back, we really are going to appreciate this whole universe for what it is. They're only getting bigger and better, and I just can't wait to see what else they do. Like I said, they're a company that has taken growth, and yes, they're under Disney, which has its little dark side. But I really do feel like the MCU does really care about the fans, and I can't wait to see where they go.
Yeah, man, they really do. For me, it's all the small things, right? Again, just the little quips, the way he moves, right? All the gadgets, the taser webs, the trap mines. You got all the web bombs, all of these different things that I would play in a game when I was a kid. And then like growing up playing them in future games, and it's like to see it in a movie. It's so cool because that's something we haven't seen in the Raimi movies or the or the Andrew Garfield series. We never got to see the toys, so I love that we got to see that, right? Like it was a
Yeah,
different. Go
I
ahead.
still I still need to see Spider-Man call the shocker the cushion from the PS1 games. I need to see that on big screen. I need to see that.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Spider-Man: Homecoming before we move on?
Can't wait to
Vash.
see No Way Home. Can see how it happens with said characters. But with Homecoming, it's a great introduction to Tom Holland as the new Spider-Man in the lead up after Civil War. And we had a great introduction as the Vulture as Michael Keaton. He did a great job. We get the new introduction of the new cast of Flash Thompson, Ned, his friends, Zendaya as the new Mary Jane, or technically MJ, however you want to put it.
Well, yeah, her name's
To me,
Michelle.
yeah, Michelle, but her nickname is MJ. So however you want to put it, I had a good time with this film. It's a blast. If you ask me for my quick out the top rating out of my head, I'll give it definitely 4 out of 5.
Yeah, like honestly, I loved it. I loved the modern take on the school, and yeah, the film's just good vibes. Like, if I was to give the film a rating, it would honestly be a 4 for me. I got what I wanted from a Spider-Man film. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, this is 4.5 out of 5 for me for sure. absolutely love Spider-Man Homecoming. Like I said at the beginning, like this was my favorite rewatch of this film ever. Like I was just sitting there having so much fun. I felt like a kid again, just sitting on my couch reading comics or
That's what I'd
watching
say.
the animated series. And I'm like, dude, Tom Holland and John Watts and Kevin Feige, they really fucking get it. Like this is the Spider-Man that I've been waiting for. It's like I took Tobey Maguire because that's all I had in the early 2000s, right? That was the only live action Spider-Man that I ever had.
Very well said
But
earlier.
now that I
Yep.
have Tom Holland, looking back at those films, it's like I love Raimi and I love what he did with Harry Osborn and what he did with Green Goblin and everything, but I don't think he really got it with Peter Parker and Spider-Man and MJ. I don't really think that he got it, but you know, it is what it is. Comic book movies have come a really long way since then. This was a point in time when they were still figuring things out, so I'm not gonna, you know, put too much pressure on them. But if we've all given our final thoughts, I think it's finally time to get to the final film of the night that we're going to talk about, and probably the most fun film out of all of the Phase 3 Part 1 movies, and that's Thor Ragnarok. This movie is just fucking amazing. I love the way that it opens with Surtur, and we get that opening monologue from Thor. And I love that we got a new Thor in this film. This Thor is a lot funnier, is a lot more lighthearted, but you also get those really, really deep family moments, and you feel it every single time that he feels despair. You know, when Odin dies, you see the sadness and the anger that he turns towards Loki and then towards Hela. I love the family aspect that they've brought in. Like, Odin is the All-Father, but he's not as great as we've been told that he is. There is this dark, hidden history. It's like, yeah, Asgard is filled with gold, but Hela and Odin murdered trillions to get to that point and to pretty much subjugate the 9 realms into peace. Like, let's be honest, that's what they did. They call it liberation, but what they did, they subjugated the 9 realms into peace. So that's something that's really interesting. It's a hidden history into the Odinson line. There's a lot of stuff in Thor Ragnarok. I love the Planet Hulk aspects to this, because we all know that Universal still owns the distribution rights. So this was a great way to do Planet Hulk without doing a whole movie. So watching the Contest of Champions, getting to see Beta Ray Bill up on he has his own mantle. Who else was on there? By Beast is on there. The Hulk was on there. Man Thing. I thought those were really, really great Easter eggs. Tessa Thompson's fucking amazing as Valkyrie. I have a few negatives, a few minor nitpicks with the film, but we'll talk about that once we go around. So LSS, I want to start with you and tell me what you like about Thor Ragnarok.
This, out of everything, even better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2, this was the biggest pleasant surprise I think I've had from any film I've ever watched. Going off the back of 4-1 and 4-2, I really just had a distaste for 4. But when I watched Ragnarok, I didn't want the film to end, bro. I loved every second of it. There was not a part where I was sitting there as like, this is a bit boring or anything. This film was started on a 10 and just cranked and cranked and cranked. And when you thought you couldn't get better, they just add Jeff Goldblum in it. And bro, he's hilarious as a character. Everyone there, it's like, it's showing that the universe really is full of idiots. That's how it is. Like everyone thinks that outer space will be full of like these genius beings. Nah, bro, space is full of some idiots, bro. And I love that, bro.
Or you will have some friends from work too that you'll find in some type of arena. You'll be like, hey, that's a friend from work.
Yeah, literally.
Do you know how that scene came about?
How?
This was literally just a random kid on set that happened to mention that to Chris Hemsworth. It's like, you should say he's a friend from work, and he did it, and it kills every time I see it.
Yes. The whole scene when I remember watching doing the rewatch with my friend and his girlfriend who had never seen the MCU before, and then when they saw that Hulk was on the island, their first question is, "What's Loki gonna do?" And then when they saw Loki, like, we need to get off this island. now. I need to get off this planet now. Like that was honestly
But
hilarious.
But then like 20 seconds later, when Thor was like getting beat up like this, Loki got it like, yes. And the Grandmaster was like, just stay like, I just support the game, I just support the sport, very good.
Exactly. Big
Loki was so happy to see his brother be the one to get thrown out. Like, yes. I love that scene so much. I was watching this literally right before the stream, and I was having a blast.
And literally, I love the way that they take the absolute mick out of Age of Ultron. Like, the sun is coming down, and it just gets way in.
Real low. The sun's getting real low.
Literally,
and then Bruce was like, because he kept telling Bruce about it, like, hey, the sun getting real low. Bruce was like, yo, stop with that. It's just my anxiety, we're in a different planet. I've been Hulk for 2 years. I just can't do this. Just stop. And then he's like, okay, cool. The sun's going down. I just want to stay calm. Like, man, I'm not calm. The more you tell me this, I just love that because it reminds me when you tell somebody else, like, yo, bro, stay calm. Like, hey, stay calm. But the more you tell them, is the more frustrated and mad they will get because you tell them something the opposite. Like, hey, stay calm. Like, I can't stay calm because you told me to stay calm. It's going to make me get angry. So I just love that scene where Bruce just Thor being repeated, like, the sun will get real low. The sun get real low. The sun get I was getting annoyed by it too. So it just works so perfectly because that's the point of it.
Yeah, and I love what they done with Bruce Banner. Like they just took him away from these big team ups and made him like they just didn't make him this super nerd. They actually just made him a character, a doctor with an anxiety, with a PhD that has now ended up in space. And
seven PhDs.
Seven PhDs. And he doesn't.
Yeah.
He does not want to be there. Like, bro, and it's like he didn't just follow Hulk because I feel like he used to follow Tony Stark and whatever a lot. When Hulk's like, we gotta go save my world, and he's like, I don't want to save your world. I want to go home. Like, I don't want to do that.
And then I love how Thor uses him to you go fly the ship, and he's like, I don't know how to write a ship. Like, how about you use those PhDs? And like, none of those PhDs is to write an alien spaceship. I just love that. It was so worked perfectly. He's like, those 7 PhDs can help you to write a whole, alien spaceship. It was so good.
No, honestly, bro, I to give a fault for a film, I really don't know what to say bad about it. I just honestly, I love it. I feel like it's the gold standard of Marvel films, and also obviously I know we're gonna probably talk about it, the end credit scene and how it took all that fun and was like, there's still definitely,
fuck y'all.
There's still definitely this isn't over yet. It's like, so you thought, and literally, and that payoff from seeing that end scene going into Infinity War with like literally Loki on the radio calling for help, that is amazing, bro. That is honestly chef's kiss.
Yeah, man. There's so much we can talk about with this film. Like, one thing that I thought was great about it was this film has 3 different writers, right? Usually that doesn't work. Usually when a film has like 3 or more writers, there's usually a bunch of like tonal issues and pacing issues. But this is it's just flames all the way through, man. Like, one of my favorite sequences. Go ahead.
I was going to add to what you're saying. I feel like those 3 writers felt the right balance to what each of them wanted for the tone of the film. I feel like they knew the comedy, they knew how to work with each of the character of Loki and Thor, but they knew to center the story and keep in the same tone and pace. So I felt like those 3 writers knew what they were doing. So I gotta give props to them because they knew what to write on the page, and they had the director and the crew know how to go from page to film. Because I feel like I didn't really have a problem with it. I was entertained by it, and I didn't really have a con for it.
Yeah, man. I just feel like pretty much everything in this film is just extremely funny. I love the exchanges between Thor and Surtur, like I said before, and then Thor finally gets back to Asgard. He sees the big Loki sign, and then Loki is putting on these shows of his sacrifice in Thor: The Dark World. I love the score behind it with the choir. I love that Sam Nielsen is Odin and fucking Matt Damon is Loki. It's so hilarious, bro. And then Anthony Hopkins is doing his best Tom Hiddleston Loki impression. There's so much great shit. Korg, hey, my name's Korg. Like Taika Waititi is he's just a fucking genius, bro. Everything in his film works.
Even the introduction to the world that they're on when Thor's in that chair. And it's like, oh yeah, you have now been picked. Now you will be seated master ruler.
And then they play the Willy Wonka music.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. And it's like, I like, bro, you feel the intensity. Like, it's getting to the point where even Thor's anticipating what happened. Like, he's anticipating so much, he starts screaming, and he's just in this chair in front of everyone. Like, that's like, bro, that is just comical,
what got me on this rewatch? I'm the only one that could say because long hair here. So when Thor was on the seat here, he said, "Not the hair, not the hair, not the hair."
Stay still, Blondie.
I was like, that cameo of Stan Lee was adorable because he's like, amazing. My head is not as stiff as it used to, so stay still, Blondie. And it goes from one drill to like 5, 6 others. I'm like, how do you cut a hair like that? That's one question. And I'm like, I don't know how that makes sense, but hey, thank God you didn't cut off a head or an ear because I don't want him to be like Van Gogh here. So, like, when I saw that scene and when he screamed for the hair, I felt that because from going to having long-ass Thor hair to short hair, Chris Hemsworth made it work. The comedy aspect, it fit, and the showing the paint of the red and blue, like it made it work for his character and the helmet and everything. So it was awesome. I love it. I love the editing for this film too. We haven't talked much about this, but I do want to give props for the editing because when Thor was getting smacked to his face by Hulk, of course, during the whole arena, and also when he was getting smacked by Hela back in Asgard, the editing, every time he got his face smacked, I gotta give props because the editing showing back to his father Odin, smack Odin, smack Odin, smack Odin, like that was beautiful transition because to get it on key, it was beautiful, and showing that my favorite line throughout the whole film when Odin say, "Well, son, you're not the god of hammers, you're the god of thunder." I love that scene because the way Odin tells him is like. It's like he said, like, "Yo, son, are you stupid? Because I made you god of thunder, not god of hammers." And I love how Korg, Taika Waititi said it so perfectly. Like, it seems like you had a very intimate relationship with this hammer. And I'm like,
the hammer pulled you off.
I was just about to say that, James, because Thor even thought of it like, no. I flew off of it, not put off of it. It was just amazing. The comedy aspect of Korg, aka Taika Waititi with Chris Hemsworth, it works so perfectly. Like this type of comedy, I'm sorry, Shaka, but this comedy was much better than Guardian Volume 2.
I hear that. I like both types. I really like the way, following on the comedy, is the way that they literally took the narcissistic attitude from the first two Thors, like, oh, I'm this god Thor, I can do everything. But he gets put in this island. They call him like, what do they call him? It's like Thunderlord or something.
Lord of Thunder or Sparkles.
Yeah, Lord of Sparkles.
I was about to say Lord of Sparkles. I love that.
Yeah, literally, they're like, oh, I'm Thor, son of Odin. Like, who the hell was that? Like, who the hell was Odin? We don't give a shit here, bro. I literally love
my
that.
favorite scene as well with Loki and Thor, because there's something that me and my brother has done with my parents, but instead of saying get help, is like we kind of lie, say that I'm kind of hurt and everything, so they will feel less and to punish us. So when I saw something with Thor saying, "Hey, we should do get help," and Loki's like, I hate that. I don't want to do that. And Thor's like, we are doing that. And they're like, damn. He's like, get help. We're here. It just threw Loki to the people. Like, you see? This is why I don't like it. I was like, yo, I love that type of chemistry. And I can't wait to see the Loki series in a couple of days because see the progression of the 2017 character of Loki back to the 2012 version, I can't wait to see how much of a different character he is. And I wonder if this Loki is going to know how much he progressed. Like, I wonder if that Loki is going to know.
He does, because he's talking to the time people and they show him what he done. From what I saw in the trailer,
they show him the events of the first Avengers movie.
No, I feel like I think they're showing more. I think they're showing more about what he's
But
done, and I feel
but
like
Shaka,
it's
but that's a
Solo.
trailer. I'm curious to
Yeah,
see context wise. Like,
yeah.
are they really gonna show the whole thing that who
No,
he
I feel like they
became
were.
before he died? Or
I feel like they were, but in typical Loki fashion, he's gonna go back. He doesn't care about that type of growth.
I
Loki's a very in the presence person. He's how he feels and what he does is very in the moment.
Yeah, I would have to look at the trailer again because remember, like in the MCU time travel, the future isn't set. So if they pulled him from wherever he went from 2012, wherever he went from there, it hasn't been written yet. So I don't know what they would have been able to show him because the future isn't written yet. But once they introduce the TVA, we'll learn more, a lot more about the rules and all of that stuff. So we'll wait
by
till we
the
get
time
there.
you're in everything.
But I do want to talk about just like two small nitpicks I have because I know we're going to continue gushing about this movie. But there's two small nitpicks that I have with the production, right? Hela's makeup was different in almost every scene. It's really
inconsistent as fuck.
It's really inconsistent. It was kind of jarring. It's like scene to scene, it's different. She has half makeup, full makeup, just the raccoon eyes. It's all over the fucking place. Her hair is all over the place. And then like my other nitpick that I have is the CGI is really spotty in certain places, right? Like when Valkyrie showed up with her ship and she started shooting the guns, it looked like CGI. It didn't even look like it was a part of the ship. It actually looked more like green screen. Also, when they went to see Odin in like the Netherlands or wherever the fuck they were, you could tell that was green screen too. So that there's a lot of CGI, there's a lot of green screen stuff that just it looks real bad and it kind of takes me out of the scene. But besides that, those are my only nitpicks.
I feel like that's expected though. You're working with a film that is very CGI. Not all of it is going to be perfect. I feel like when it comes to CGI, that they really
Endgame,
it.
Doctor Strange.
Strange. I can't
what we just talked
think of
about.
a single scene in
spotty.
Endgame where it wasn't perfect, bro.
Yeah, that was Endgame. The MCU got lots of money from them.
But look, Doctor Strange, the movie that was a year before this did not have any spotty, any spotty CG or any type of special effects. But to add to what Jens was saying about the makeup being consistent and everything. So me working production, some of the scenes were done in different places, in the Netherlands, probably some inside the studio. So maybe the same makeup artist was not there all the time to keep it consistent. Maybe they had different type of makeup artists, and that's on their fault.
That's not the makeup artist's job, right? There's the continuity department. That's their job to keep the documentation of the continuity, and then whoever is the makeup artist is supposed to match to what the continuity director has.
So I agree 100%. So that's why I'm saying, like, I am agreeing with James because I work in production. Sometimes we don't always have the same people on set like it was before 2 weeks ago. So things like that happen. Scheduling, some people work in different gigs and different jobs. So that sucks. And to the Hela thing, that did bother me sometimes because I did rewatch the film literally right before stream is when I finished it and everything. And that did bother me with the Hela looking differently with her outfits and everything. Who knows why they want to change her outfits each time? Who knows? But I also gotta give props on the score in this film as well. To have the immigrant song in the beginning and when Thor with the lightning, no lie, every time that plays, I would start screaming. It is hilarious. I love it. It's enjoyable just to know the Led Zeppelin is so good in that scene. And they know how to work with it is amazing. And to have was the fire Thor guy that like to talk shit saying that his fire will bring thank you, Surtur. The Ragnarok thing, the comedy aspect when
shit, I just draw a blank. He was the voice of Lex Luthor in the Justice League series. He does so many different voices. Fuck. He was on The Flash too as a general or something. Why am I blanking on his name right now? He's like one of my favorite voice actors ever. Oh man. I'm gonna kill myself when I see his name too. But go ahead, Vash.
Are you talking about Michael Rosenbaum?
No. Shit.
Because I'm trying to find Surtur, but I can't.
Clancy Brown.
I was about to say that Clancy Brown because
Yeah, he's the voice of so many characters from my childhood. But yeah, Clancy Brown did such a great job as Surtur. I will say, much like when we were talking about Civil War, it's not really the Ragnarok story. It's not really Surtur based.
Oh, it's not, definitely not.
With Surtur and his armies like literally riding on Hellfire into Asgard in this all-out war, which is fine because they also wanted to do Planet Hulk, and I feel like they did a really good blend, but I needed more of the actual like Ragnarok of the story.
I did not like the Planet Hulk integration, because if people know Planet Hulk, when he said this is Planet Sakaar, I'm like, no, this is not Sakaar, because technically we'll be seeing other characters Sakaar, aka Sakaar himself. I'm like, that rewatching this film made me feel a bit salty. Like, that's my little small nitpick. Like, as much as that we saw Beta Bay Real, Beast and everything, like, it was pretty cool to see those type of cameos, but like how you in the planet have called Sakaar in the wasteland and everything and don't have Sakaar the character as well. It's like, damn. And like that's like Planet Hulk comics. If you haven't seen the comic, go watch the animated film if you actually want to see the true Planet Hulk story. If you want to read the actual Ragnarok story, it's a great comic as well. I think it's a short run. I think it's like at 6 to 12 issues. But I also like Hulk chemistry with Bruce. I said let's say Bruce. Hulk chemistry with Thor as well. Like that was very comedic, and it felt very well, because also when Hulk was about to fight against Surtur, he's like, hey, Hulk, not him. We actually need him to destroy the stuff. Now he like, so can't
for
fight
once
big guy?
in your
like,
life,
no.
Can you not smash?
Smash. I love that. Like, if like for once, don't smash. It's like, damn, he was so sad about it. But one of my first scenes before Bruce went back to Hulk, there was no monologue about it. He was just body language in the ship. He was just thinking about like, damn, 2 years as a Hulk and probably a good less than 12 hours as Bruce and there like that. And now he's contemplating like, damn, these people need a beast. These people need a Hulk right now to help and save them. And him just thinking about it, him like, damn, if I turn back to Hulk, would I go back to Bruce and everything? I love that, because it was just more body language, him accepting that right now people need more Hulk than Bruce. And I kind of
wish they explored that fear a little bit more. Like him, like being so scared that if he turned into the Hulk again, that he would never be able to turn back. I wish they played on that a little bit more.
I was just about to say that I wish we got a bit more to that, because I love the body language, but here's my but. I wish we got more of that, because he explained about his anxiety, about him just being in alien planet he'd never been into and everything, him just being in one planet, aka Earth, and then Thor's like, hey, you've been in two. Like, that's not funny. I'm still just got back as Bruce and everything. And I wish we got more of that understanding before we went to Hulk, because it would have been interesting to see his type of psyche of how he's like, damn, cool, I'm going back to Hulk. Who knows when back to the Bruce? Hopefully we get that with the Hulk and She-Hulk type of comparison of him saying like, yo, I can't go back to Bruce and everything. Who knows what we're gonna get more into and dive, because that's his cousin and everything. So can't wait to see more into that. And I love how he just falls down, gets his like all arm and broken and everything, and then just grabs the dog or whatever pet that was.
Yeah,
so
giant
I love that very
wolf.
much.
Love the wolf design, by the way. But LS, I wanna ask you a question.
Yeah.
Vash, I wanna ask you this as well. But how do you feel about the Warriors 3? I feel like the Warriors 3 has been given the like shortest end of the stick in the MCU. Like Fandral and I can't remember the Hogan, can't remember the other guy, but they're just murdered in seconds. And then we don't even know where Sif is. Like, so I feel like they really dropped the ball with the Warriors 3. How do you feel about it?
I need some reminder of who the Warriors 3 are again.
So remember in the first Thor movie, like...
Oh. No, I wanted to mention that I feel like that was very, very brave. Out with the old, in with the new. And I feel like it needed to be done. And I like how they didn't dwell on it. It wasn't emotional. It just needed to be done. I mean, you can't really... what this film was meant to do was strip Hulk as a character and make him lose everything. and you can't do that if he still has his friends around. They needed to go, and yeah, I feel like
I'm with you if they
Yeah.
paid that off in Infinity War, because remember when he's talking to Rocket about everyone that he's lost, he
Yeah.
never mentions the Warriors
he,
3.
he never mentions them. Yeah.
So it's like, you bring up an amazing point, but it's like, yeah, but they didn't pay it off because they never mentioned.
But there's no payoff.
Yeah, there's
And
no
it's
payoff
like,
for it.
Because like when Thor didn't even mention, like, all right, Thor, did you really care for them? Because you had a relationship with Lady Sif, but you don't even really bring up Lady Sif. So I'm like, you don't even mention her, or you don't even be like, hey, is Lady Sif here in the ship out of the 300, 400 people here in the ship? Nah, she ain't here. All right, cool, fuck her. I'm like, so like, that's the one thing I was gonna bring up as well, James, because I'm like, when those Warriors 3 got killed right there, when Hela came out of Bifrost, and then our boy the Executioner just there, like, just became her bitch. I'm like, cool. And when the Warriors 3 just got killed, like, nothing. The way I saw it, it's like Shaka said, the Warriors 3 get replaced by Loki, Valkyrie, and by Hulk and everything. They get replaced by the new, 3 people that follows Thor as the Revengers. But at the same time, also it's because Disney, MCU probably did not see them selling toys. So probably another reason why they say, all right, cool, these Warriors 3 are not selling toys. All right, cool, let's just write them off because Hulk, Valkyrie, Loki, and Thor will sell more money for us, and also Heimdall. Those characters will sell more money and more merchandise for them as well.
I just had a little look. Lady Sif is still alive.
Yeah, technically,
yeah,
but
she is.
We don't know where she is. We don't know what she's been
But
doing. We
Thor,
know nothing.
But does Thor know that?
Apparently,
does Thor know that?
She had acting commitments in a TV show, which is why she just hasn't been around.
What was the TV show?
Yeah, but at the same time,
Blind Spot.
Yeah, Blind Spot. But what I'm saying is that does Thor know if she's alive? Does Thor think she's dead? Like, has Heimdall spoken to her, like, hey, Lady Sif is still on a different planet, we should get her, or something? Like, us, the audience, we don't know, but do they know for us to tell us? Is what I'm curious to know.
I feel like they might explore it in the new Thor film.
So I was gonna ask you guys as well.
I hope
so how did you guys feel about my dibs, girl, Tessa Thompson?
I already told you I hate you. I already told you I hate you.
I know you hate me already, but I'm asking, how do you feel about her as a character on the film as Valkyrie and everything like that?
I thought she was amazing. Pretty much just as in terms of a visual shot, I think one of my favorite shots in the film is just when Loki touches Valkyrie and we get the flashback to Hela killing all of the other Valkyries.
That is a beautiful
scene. That scene is fucking gorgeous, bro.
Literally.
Well done.
I love the way it was done. The lighting, the speed of it, the slow-mo, all of that stuff. And I'm speculating that the woman that saved Valkyrie was her girlfriend. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get some type of confirmation of that in Love and Thunder, maybe. But I love Tessa Thompson. She exudes such power and grace, and I absolutely love her. I love that she plays this like really fucked up drunk too in this film. Like she lands the ship, she starts walking down the ramp, she says, "He's mine," and then immediately just falls over.
Yes.
And she's constantly, I love it. It's so hilarious. Because she's literally drinking her sorrows away. Everyone she's ever known and loved and fought beside was murdered in front of her.
And it's because of Hela, and now she's brought back, and Thor's telling her, hey, can you come back with me, Asgard? Because we're about to fight Hela. Like, so you want to go back to the girl that me go over there? Like, nah. She's like, nope, I'm not going back there because my people, the Valkyries, died for that reason. And it's just beautiful. Like, when Thor said, hey, I found this downstairs and everything, what do you want to wear? When she suited up, she looks amazing in the outfit of the Valkyries. It looks beautiful.
Bro, even
she looks proud to wear again. She's like, okay, I'm proud to wear again. Like,
even seeing her soaring through the skies on the white Pegasus in Endgame was
even though we have no idea how she got the Pegasus, but it doesn't matter because it's so much fun.
Literally, it just
it's like what did you guys get Pegasus out of? Like,
you were living on Earth for years and Asgard blew up. Where did you get the Pegasus? Doesn't matter.
I think it's gonna be something where they gave some magic beans to some horse or something, and it just turned into a Pegasus or something crazy like that.
Hey,
God, I hope not.
like you horse. Here's a bean. Turn white and also get wings. Boom, let's go.
Let's go.
The bean sprout that happened, everything.
So I want to bring up something that
Mercenary.
Yeah, I'm literally going to talk about that. Yeah. Mercenary brought up. Has anyone else noticed that the Hulk is just getting lighter in green in each movie? Yes. So I want to know which Hulk design is your favorite. Mine would be Professor Hulk.
Ooh. I'd say
Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
First Avengers Hulk.
Okay.
I would say Professor Hulk, but I prefer Grey Hulk. But Grey Hulk has not been introduced because technically Grey Hulk is the original Professor Hulk. Technically, for those that don't know the comics wise, I guess I would take.
Are we talking about MCU wise or just comic wise?
MCU wise.
MCU.
No. I'm talking about MCU wise, but James brought up Professor Hulk. But Professor Hulk is technically the original one is Grey Hulk, but that's the original Professor Hulk. But since I don't have that, I'm gonna agree with James as well and say Professor Hulk as well. Since
I wish we got to see Grey Hulk, Mr. Fix-It. That would have been amazing. But I mean, Joss Whedon wanted to put Grey Hulk in Age of Ultron, but Kevin Feige was like, no, so he couldn't do it. But I hope we get to see Grey Hulk at some point. But who knows at this point with the rights with Universal and all that shit. It's like, just sell the rights to Marvel. Just sell the rights. They're never
MCU
going to allow you
it.
to make a...
They have the money.
They're never going to allow you to have the distribution rights. Just fucking sell it. You're never going to make money off of it.
Facts, bro. If they're not doing anything with it, just you might as well give it up.
Yeah, man. But I love the third act fight. I love the fight between Thor and Hela. Hela was just giving him the work, like Vash brought up previously. Like, he got his eye cut out, and then we get the scene with Odin telling him, it's like, you're not Thor, the god of hammers, bro. Like, I gave you the hammer to focus your abilities, but all of it is inside you. And you get the Led Zeppelin scene. Like, it's such a great shot when he's falling down on all of them. He lets loose all of the lightning and everything. It's such a great fucking scene. Like, that third act is amazing. We get to see Loki do a bunch of cool stuff. I will say, another thing that I don't like about this movie is how underpowered Heimdall is. And in this entire universe. Because in the comics, the reason why Heimdall was chosen to be like the watcher of the Bifrost, it's not just that he can see everything, is that because his fucking power rivals Odin's, bro. He's not on the same level, but he's a couple notches down from Odin, bro. That's why he's the gatekeeper. And he's so underplayed in the entire MCU. These fucking Skull soldiers are not stronger than fucking Heimdall. They're not beating Heimdall. This doesn't make any fucking sense. But they depower most of their characters in the MCU. So.
I was mad when I was rewatching a movie, and when I saw Heimdall getting scratched up by this non-brain skeleton soldier, I'm like, really? Heimdall's supposed to see everything. How is he supposed to get scratched? Like, he technically, like, this reminded me of the same thing with our boy Quicksilver, you know, back in Age of Ultron. Like, how does he get shot by a bullet and everything? But I was gonna ask you guys, how do you feel what James brought up earlier, that he is the god of thunder, he is the son of Odin and everything? How do you feel that when Odin told him that he has the power within him the whole time, but the reason the hammer is that helps him concentrate? How do you feel that when Infinity War counters that, when he goes to get another new hammer, do you feel like that takes it away from the movie Thor Ragnarok?
No, I don't feel like it does. I feel like this, where I feel like it's like this. Before, the hammer was his only source of power. Now his new hammer is an extension of his power. And that's why he needed it. He needed it to extend, to go a level further. So it's like, and he mixed it. Like, before, he just used to use his hammer and he didn't have much before. Whereas before, he can literally throw that hammer and be zapping guys with lightning. Like I said, it's very much an extension of him rather than the sole thing of his power this time.
Yeah, like, for me, like, it's just another tool for him to focus his power. Because remember, Infinity War takes place literally seconds after Ragnarok. And this was the first time he actually used his lightning abilities without a hammer to focus it. So I see it twofold, right? The Stormbreaker hammer was one, capable of opening the Bifrost, which is something he desperately needed. And it was also able to help him channel even more of his power to use it against villains. So I feel like it was definitely necessary to have another hammer. And I definitely don't think it devalues like everything that he went through in Ragnarok. I did think about that though. The first time I saw Infinity War, I'm like, isn't this kind of backtracking on being like, yeah, Thor doesn't need the hammer at all? But realistically, it's not, because he doesn't have that much experience, because he only really was able to control it once. So he still needs the powerful hammer to help him channel that energy and to open the Bifrost, because there would be no other way for him to get back to Earth.
Yeah,
and in a good amount of time too.
And I feel like Endgame didn't take it away because he was such a low point in his life that he kind of needed Mjolnir back, which is why he took it with him. Like, so he needed that, he needed it. So I don't think like it took it away from him at all.
Yeah.
All right. I do want to ask for that reason because I knew some people had that type of feeling when they saw Infinity War. That's why I wanted to get your guys' perspective about it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Anything else that you guys wanted to mention? Any final thoughts on Thor Ragnarok?
Second best anime in the MCU.
Vash?
Oh, that was my last thoughts of just me screaming that.
Perfect way to sum up the film.
Yeah, man. For me, like I said before, Thor Ragnarok is one of the most fun movies in the MCU. Like, I only have small nitpicks with the film. It's just so much fun to watch. It's so funny. The character moments are really deep. The chemistry between Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston is absolutely amazing. This film actually makes me appreciate their moments together in Dark World even more, because that movie sets the stage for where they're at in Ragnarok. So I really, really love their connection. They're two great actors that play great off of each other. And yeah, man, I fucking love this film. Getting to see Hela destroy Mjolnir with one hand, that was absolutely insane. The alternate sequence that they have for that sequence, I actually prefer the alternate sequence, which is, I think it's that sequence was the one they filmed originally, and then they reshot it, like when Thor and Loki went to find Odin. Yeah, but the other sequence, I thought that was really, really cool. Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster, I mean, it's perfect casting, man. This dude is just, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, man, absolutely love Thor Ragnarok. The score, music's amazing. Yeah, man, Taika Waititi smashed it out of the park, and I cannot wait for Thor Love and Thunder. So if you guys don't have any other thoughts, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good. I had a great time, Grandmaster, as well. I want to say, I love how at the end he said, "This was a good revolution, guys. This was a good revolution. You know, there would not be no revolution without to actually overthrow somebody. So good job, good job." Now let's get back to where things were. I should love that. You know, Grandmaster, he's good.
Bring him back, man. Bring him back. I actually want to see him again.
I really hope so. Yeah. So LS, tell the people where they can find you online and where they can find Shade of Red.
You can find Shade of Red on Webtoons. You can find me online at LSF_96_red. I think so. Yeah, no, that is it. But I just had to make sure. But yeah, me and Vash, a little announcement here. We're actually working on a series together as well. Like, seriously, this time working on a series together. I feel like you guys would be interested in. It's a comedy. It's a comedy parody shonen / isekai, and I really can't wait to show it to you guys. Thank you again for having me on Careful for C4SVillains, bro. One of my favorite shows on
always
YouTube is a Friday delight. I'm so sorry I thought the show was on Saturday, because I watch it on Saturday, because sometimes it's a bit too late for me on Friday, and I watch on Saturday, and I'm always under the notion it's on a Saturday. But yeah, honestly, thank you guys for having me on. I really enjoyed the discussion. I never feel like a stranger here. I love you guys to bits.
Good, man. Yeah, it's always happy to have you here. I want to get you back for the Loki series. At least one of those episodes I want to get you back for. So, for those of you that don't know, once we're done reviewing Loki, we are going to be talking about all of the DC and Marvel animated movies and TV shows. So
God.
I have a spreadsheet with like 50 fucking shows and movies. So
every single Marvel one,
all of them,
even the Captain America and Friends one.
Maybe not that one.
I don't know about those.
Maybe, and like Spider-Man and his amazing friends. We'll skip those. We'll skip some of those. But I'm talking like Spider-Man the animated series, Iron Man the animated series, Batman the animated series, Static Shock, Spider-Man Unlimited. You know, so pretty much like early to mid 90s and beyond. But we have so much fucking lit content coming for you guys. But Vash, where can the people find you online?
You guys can find me at Legendary Vash everywhere else on social media, Twitter, IG, OnlyFans, everywhere you guys can find me at Legendary Vash. And definitely in production that you guys will find out what I would do on Twitter. You know, stuff that Only Murders in the Building comes out on August 30th, a great show that I work on. Can't guys for you see with Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and everybody else. Definitely a fun show. My dream is to work in a MCU property. That would be awesome because won't I find out until like 2 years later once it's out. But the team will know first before anybody else. So can't wait to be in more production stuff and everything else. Thank you guys for watching on C4SVillains episode 19. Episode 20 will be on Wednesday night because you know why? Loki series. Tell them more, James.
Yeah, so next Wednesday, we are going to be reviewing the first episode of the Loki series with Abe and Scuba Steve from Inside the Man of the Blurred podcast. So it's going to be fucking lit. Make sure you guys show up for that episode. I can't wait to have Steve and Abe on the show. It's going to be an amazing time. It's going to be a double episode next week. So you're going to get one on Wednesday the 9th, and then on the 11th, we're going to have Spicy Lady from the Spicy Lady Talks podcast. We're going to have Chris Conkling from the Popaholics podcast. And I'm hoping if Ray can make it, but I know he has E3 priorities. But if Ray can make it, Ray will also be there. And we will be talking about part 2 of the MCU Phase 3. So Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, and I'm missing one more.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp. Thank you so much for reminding me. Yeah, those are going to be some incredible films to talk about. It's just
Did you say Spider-Man one?
Yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah.
You can't see under my mask, but I'm smiling so much. I'm really happy with you guys' growth. You guys have a lot to shoot out with, and I'm so happy for you guys. Yeah, honestly, bro. And thank you for the chat as well for staying up. I know it's late for you guys as well. So yeah, thank you guys for staying up.
Yeah, thank you. It's really late for you.
Don't worry, bro. I don't sleep, man. I don't sleep.
Yeah, man. But besides that, like I said before, we have so much amazing content coming for you guys. We already have the entire, the rest of 2021 and most of 2022 already, planned out in terms of, exactly what we're going to do. Vash and I have already talked about we're going to do the DC movies first. Then we're going to do the DC animated series, and then we're going to do the Marvel animated series, and then who knows what we're going to do after we're done with all of those different movies and TV shows.
Review the worst Marvel movies, man. Do that.
Yes, we will at some point.
Review the worst Marvel animated movies because there's
I don't know if I want to rewatch Last Stand. I don't know if I
think you're gonna have to, bro. I think you're gonna have to.
When it comes to reviewing bad films, please invite me. I think
James, I think that week when we review those films, I think I work for production where you have to find a guest for that week for me, I think.
I know, but hold on. But no, you should honestly do a throwback. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on X-Men 2 because I think X-Men 2 is the best.
Oh, hell yeah, we would definitely do that for sure.
X-Men 2 is basically that Vin Diesel film, the babysitter. You know the babysitter film with Vin Diesel?
Yeah, the pacifier?
It's literally the pacifier on steroids, and I love it. I love it.
But guys, if you guys want to support us in anything and know up-to-date information, what James was saying, follow us on Twitter, join our Discord, support our Patreon as well, and continue subscribing. We're about to be at 500 subs. Continue supporting. Share it to your friends. Share it to your cousins. Share it to your abuelas, your tios, your uncles, your cousins, your little niece that has a tablet. Just press the subscribe button for them. They might never watch us, but just put them aside.
Don't do that. We swear on here. Don't do that.
Hey, like I said, they might never watch it. As long as they support us and everything, we greatly appreciate everything you guys do. Share it on social media. Follow us, DM us if you have any questions. If you want to give us a topic in the future, definitely patreon.com/C4SVillains as well.
Yeah, this was a great episode. I know it was going to be a lot of fun. LS, I really respect your insight into film and into stories in general. You always bring like a fresh perspective and bring things that I didn't even think of. So I love having you on the show, man. You will be on a lot more. So you guys stay tuned for that. And Vash and for LSF and myself, we will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you. Thank you again.